Father and son, teacher and student, coach and player. The matchups have been overplayed since last year. Tonight, there won't be any of that. Quite simply, this game is a matchup of the number 1 and number 4 teams in the state. Tonight, the undefeated CB West Bucks and the undefeated North Penn Knights go at it at Crawford Stadium here on North Penn Television. Pleasant good evening, everyone. Along with Chadd Powell, I'm Kyle Berger, and we're glad you could join us tonight for what appears to be the center of the high school football universe tonight in a very muddy Crawford Stadium. Chadd, this game really does not need to be any more built up as it has been already. No hype necessary, right?
Right. No, there's no hype necessary at all for this game. Both teams are going to be under a lot of pressure. Everybody's been souping this game up since last year. Pettine 2, news all over the place. Press box, chaos, you name it, it's going on. Just a lot of pressure on all the players and coaches.
Well, one difference this year from last year is not so much the focus is on both Mike Pettine Sr. of CB West and Mike Pettine Jr. of North Penn. The focus this year is much more on the players, and that's a good sign. Well, let's take a look at the implications this game has for both CB West and North Penn.
One Power 10. The biggest game of their season is against the Central Bucks West Bucks. Led by legendary coach Mike Pettine, CB West is perennially ranked among the top teams in the state. Last season saw the Bucks become the first ever two-time PIAA state champion since the PIAA established different classes of schools. The Bucks went through 1997 undefeated and were led by Dave Armstrong, who is now at Michigan. This season, West is, quote, rebuilding. Dustin Picciotti has taken over Armstrong's position and has been doing a wonderful job. Mike Orahel has become the first sophomore quarterback ever to start for the Bucks. West is still ranked number 1 in the state, and they continue to roll over their opponents. Every team in the Suburban 1 League is also aware that there is a new kid on the block. Last season, the North Penn Knights went 8-3 with first-year head coach Mike Pettine Jr. They were able to make a name for themselves as a team that was going to be in contention the next season. For as good as CB West has been this year, North Penn has been equally as dominant in its undefeated season. The Knights had a shutout streak of 14 quarters covering 4 weeks earlier this season. Heike Johnson is the leading rusher in Suburban 1 football, and the Knights have the aura of a team poised to steal the spotlight from one of the state's elite teams. These two teams' paths cross tonight at Crawford Stadium. It is not just a matchup between father and son. The ramifications of this game transcend that matchup that has been cliched by the media.
I just think it's kind of overplayed personally. I mean, to me, my responsibility is to coach 90-some-odd North Penn High School football players. And just if one of my parents happens to be on the other sideline, I can't get wrapped up into what he's doing. I kind of likened it the other night in the baseball playoffs when the Stottlemeyers were going against each other, and they interviewed the pitcher after the game, and he said, I have the rest of my life to look at my dad and worry about what he's doing. I was worried about getting Yankee hitters out. So that, to me, I'll have my own things to worry about and taking care of business on our sideline. I'm not going to get too wrapped up in what's going on with him and on their sideline. I mean, to me, it's I have to treat it just like, we have to prepare and treat it just like any other game, or we're not going to be successful.
Well, unfortunately, we were picked number 1 in the state, and that makes the coach very nervous. We say we have a big target on our chest, and it gets bigger and bigger each year. So as the defending champs, everybody wants to make their year, their banquet by beating us.
It is the number 1 and number 2 teams from District 1. It's a matchup of 2 undefeated teams. It's for bragging rights in the Suburban Power 10. This is the kind of matchup that makes this game one for the ages. 2 communities have packed Crawford Stadium to the brim, anticipating the best and biggest game of the season. The Knights and the Bucks. It doesn't get any better than this.
Back now at Crawford Stadium in Chadd, the Central Bucks West Bucks come into this game undefeated last year, 15-0, and undefeated thus far this season at 5-0, a 20-game winning streak. They really haven't been tested this much this season, though.
No, the hardest game they've had so far is against Norristown. The quarterback, Dustin Orahel, number 8, hasn't been tested too much. We don't know what his confidence is like. He's thrown 2 interceptions last week. And Dustin Picciotti, what can I say, just come in and filled in where Armstrong left off.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of Mike Orhill and Dustin Picciotti in this highlight film from last week's CB West victory over the Neshaminy Redskins. So let's go to War Memorial Field in Doylestown and take a look at the highlights. This is actually the North Penn highlights from last year. I beg your pardon. That's Aaron Thomas fumbling the opening kickoff and then making up for it 3 plays later, going 98 yards on this reverse. And he will open the scoring in the game for North Penn. 7-0 Knights. Then, the next play for North Penn after they picked up the ball, a 35-yard run by Heike Johnson, making the score 14-0. Great run by the junior running back. His first of 3 touchdowns in the game. Next possession for the Knights, Heike Johnson once again burning the Abington defense, going 47 yards, 21-0. The Knights took the lead. On Abington's next possession, quarterback Francis Benson misses Paul Sharp, and Aaron Thomas picks up his second interception of the season. We'll go into the second quarter on the same drive. Clay Cucklick, the quarterback filling in for Joe Talese, picks up his first touchdown of the season, a 6-yard run, making it 28-0. And then Heike Johnson would end the first half scoring with his third touchdown of the game, a first half hat trick for Heike. 35-0 North Penn at the half. Opening up the second half, just a sign of how things were going for Abington. Wes Heinel's kickoff is returned by Abington out to about the 25-yard line where the ball pops loose. Abington appeared to have recovered it, and then the ball squirted loose once again when it was recovered by number 5, Sidanand. North Penn would keep their first team offense in for one final drive. They didn't need much time as Aaron Thomas, only his second carry of the game. Both of them were for touchdowns. Aaron Thomas's first 100-yard game as a North Penn Knight. Finally, Abington got onto the scoreboard as Francis Benson, the junior quarterback, runs right through the North Penn defense off of our screen and into the end zone. Abington finally on the board, 42-7. Sidanand in the second team offense picks up a 15-yard touchdown run, closing out North Penn scoring. 48-7 is the score at this point. And then the final touchdown of the game, Benson, his second of the game, a 20-yard run. 48-14 was the final score in the game. North Penn improved to 5-0, a perfect 5-0, 4-0 in the Suburban 1 Power 10, ranked number 4 in the state. Well, Chad, North Penn's offense has been doing well, but their defense has really stepped up this season.
Their defense has stepped up so big this year. They've gone 14 quarters without allowing any touchdowns at all, no points, no nothing. And then they've only allowed 9 points in average of every game.
And a lot of those points have come in the fourth quarter when they put in their second team defense and the game is out of hand. Well, that is going to wrap up our pregame coverage here from Crawford Stadium. The rain continues to fall on the muddy ground of this field. It will be a classic, most certainly, and North Penn Television will have every single minute of action here tonight. The Knights and the Bucks. Doesn't get any better than this. Back after this on Channel 16.
Here's my nephew Scruff, about to run into trouble again.
Hey, Bobo, where's your video game? In here. Oh, look at this. Uh-oh. It's my dad's. You want to hold it? What'll I do?
You'll see, but that's not the only problem he has.
Hey, here's a shortcut. Not down there, Square. I don't think it's safe. Come on, the coast is clear. I'm not taking a chance, Lance. Oh, no. Well, hello, Dogface. Come to give us your sneakers.
Uh-oh, trouble again, Scruff. What are you gonna do now?
I don't know.
If you get my new comic activity book, More Adventures with Scruff, you'll find out what you can do about bullies, drugs, and guns.
Am I the hero again?
You'll see, and you'll see lots of games.
Cool.
For your free copy of my new comic activity book, write Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652. Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652. And you'll be helping take a bite out of crime.
I want it, I want it.
If
If you're not recycling, you're throwing it all away.
Welcome back to Crawford Stadium. We're getting ready for the Rumble in the Rain to start here. The perfect undefeated 5-0 CB West Bucks, #1 in the state, coming here to Crawford Stadium to take on the North Penn Knights, also a perfect 5-0, ranked #4 in the state. The coin toss going on right now. North Penn will get the football and start with it. A packed house here at Crawford Stadium in the rain and the mud. There's probably close to 10,000 people here, maybe not as much just because of the weather, but dedicated football fans out here. And just as in the stands, it is pretty well packed here in the press box. I mean, there are four different people covering this game. There's us, there's 2 different radio stations, and Suburban Cable is also picking up this game on television. So there is definitely a lot of coverage and a lot of hype in this game, Chad.
Yeah, there's been so much hype for this game. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, Kyle. It's just everybody's been really psyched. The schools have been going at it for 2 years, and
well, Coach Mike Pettine Sr., obviously the father of Mike Pettine Jr. of the North Penn Knights, he picked up his 300th career win incredibly. I mean, 300 wins in high school with the same team, mind you. Just an unbelievable accomplishment. He is the first coach, I beg your pardon, the second coach in Pennsylvania to do so. That win came against Norristown in that 28-13 victory against the Eagles earlier this year. CB West is on a 20-game winning streak, the 5th such winning streak of 20 games or more in Pettine's career. Of course, they have won 28 straight Suburban 1 League National Conference games in a row. That dates back to 1995, and you know who beat them?
North Penn.
Correct. North Penn in 1995 is CB West's last Power 10 loss. North Penn squeaked by the Bucks in that game, 1914. One of the biggest wins in North Penn history, and if they can pull this one off tonight, I think that would top that. North Penn really trying to establish itself as having turned the corner for their program. They went through a couple bad years a couple years ago. They bring in Coach Pettine, and he has just done a wonderful job turning this team around. 8-3 last year. Perfect 5-0 so far this year as the Knights take the field. And if they can beat the Central Bucks West Bucks, they have the inside track to the league title in the Power 10, the toughest conference in Pennsylvania. We'll take a look at some of the keys to the game real quick. We have 10 of them. We'll take the first 5 right now. #1 for North Penn is to contain Dustin Picciotti. He has been on a roll lately, and if he continues to run over teams like he has, North Penn could have a very long night. Also for North Penn, they need to establish the ground game. Heike Johnson comes into this game 9 straight 100-yard games, and Aaron Thomas, #11, is fresh off his first 100-yard game. Mike Oriole, I should say, is the quarterback for the Bucks. He's only a sophomore, the first sophomore quarterback in Central Bucks West history. They can get to him early and rattle him. He could be in for a long night. We'll pick up the rest of those keys for you shortly hereafter. Bob Tumulty is on to kick for the Bucks, and it's underway here at Crawford Stadium. Aaron Thomas will take it at the 20-yard line. He is buried after a very short return of about 4 yards. North Penn will take over on their 24-yard line. 1st and 10, North Penn. Well, let's take a look at some of the starting lineups for North Penn. We'll start up front. On the offensive line, 75, Chris McKelvey. #76, Dave Koslow. #50, Dan Chang. 71, Corey Jackson. 67, Jeff Michael. And 98, Matt Hertz, the tight end. In the backfield, the quarterback, it's #14, Clay Kuklick. #43, Mike Kapusta is the fullback. #2, Heike Johnson is the running back. Aaron Thomas is the wingback. Evan Fitzpatrick, #81, is the wide receiver. Here we go, the first play from scrimmage. Backs in the I formation. Kuklick under center. Johnson lined up behind Mike Kapusta. There'll be a quick handoff up the middle, and Mike Kapusta, and he gets about 8 yards. A great first play for the Knights. Right now, we'll take a look at the Central Bucks West starting defensive line. Angelo Polena, #44, Damian Smith, #32, and Robert Bowser, #68, are the defensive tackles. And Dustin Picciotti, who is also the fullback, plays on the defensive end position. The linebackers in secondary, Ryan Blomgren, #4, Brian Buckley, #9, Kinzel, #23, and Bill Stone, #14, are the linebackers. Janssen, Edwards, and Schmidt fill out the rest of the secondary. 2nd and 2 for the Knights. Ball on their 34-yard line. I formation. Here is Heike Johnson off left tackle. Gets a block from Kapusta. He just fell down. No, that's the slippery conditions right there, Chad. But a good run by the junior. 1st and 10, North Penn.
Looked like North Penn tried to use their first play to set up that run to high key. They gave it to Mike Kapusta, which is a new look for them, especially on their first play.
They're in the middle of your screen, number 75, Chris McKelvey. Back into the lineup for North Penn after coming back from a MCL sprain against Council Rock. With him out of the lineup, the North Penn Knights use more of the sweep offense. With him back in the lineup, they go back to Ibeer off tackle. It's Heike Johnson all day. North Penn goes into a tight formation. Kuklik off tackle to Johnson again. He'll pick up 6, 7, maybe even 8 yards by Heike Johnson. There you saw a little power out of number 2, running over some of the CB West defenders.
And pushing them down the field. This field's so muddy. If you can plant your feet and the defense can't plant theirs, you're just going to push them straight down the field.
It's going to be a battle of the trenches tonight. There's no doubt about that. 2nd and 3 for the Knights. Ball is at the CB West 47, now into Bucks territory. Backs will go into a split formation. Fitzpatrick lined up, split to the right. Kuklik with the count, gives it up the middle to Kapusta. He hangs onto the football, falls forward. I think he has the first down. He's close to it. It will be 1st and 10. No, 3rd down. He's just short. I thought he might have gotten it. But from the spot is just inside the 45-yard line. 3rd and less than a yard for the Knights. Here's a big play right away for North Penn.
If North Penn gets this could set the tone for this game.
All they need is possibly 2 feet. They're going to bring everybody in tight except for Fitzpatrick, who's split wide to the left. CB West defensive line digging in, looking for a stand. It's a sneak by Kuklik. He falls forward. 1st and 10, North Penn picking up 2 yards. Good job by Clay Kuklik to move the pile. Ball is now on the CB West 42-yard line. Just underway here in the first quarter. Glad you could join us tonight on North Penn Television. I'm Kyle Berger with Chadd Powell. The biggest game in Pennsylvania, in the state, this season in Quad A football is right here tonight. No doubt about it. 1st and 10 for the Knights, sticking to that open set in the backfield with Kapusta and Johnson. Here goes Johnson. He's wrapped up in the backfield. Dropped for a loss by number 9, Brian Buckley. So the first negative yardage play for North Penn comes about 3.5 minutes into the game. That'll set up 2nd and 12 for North Penn at the 45-yard line.
Well, this field being so wet, it doesn't give Heike Johnson a chance to cut back.
Yeah, we saw that the one play. We thought he was going to break away with that one long run. It was the second play of the game, actually. And there's a big mud puddle in between the 45-yard line of North Penn and the 45-yard line of CB West. It's just a mud puddle out there. It's been raining all of Thursday night into today, and there's a downpour here at Crawford Stadium around 5 o'clock, and that really washed out the field. 2nd and 12 for the Knights. Kapusta goes into motion. There's a handoff to Johnson. Gets a good block by Jackson. He cuts up. Gets another block. He's around the end, and he gets the first down. 1st and 10, North Penn on Heike Johnson's run. He is inside the 30-yard line. North Penn moving the ball at will.
It's a great job by Heike avoiding that defensive end.
Great block by Corey Jackson. Let's take a look at this replay and try to pick up this block by Corey Jackson. You see Kapusta goes in motion to set up the strong side. He picks up a block, and Jackson hits the same player. That's Picciotti, the big defensive end, who seems to be the heir apparent for CB West on the defensive end position. 1st and 10, North Penn after Heike Johnson's 16-yard run. 7.5 to go in the opening quarter. North Penn has called timeout. Clay Kuklik not liking what he saw. He's going to call timeout. Some other keys to the game, Chad. Special teams, of course. CB West recovered 3 of its own kickoffs last week. They weren't necessarily onside kicks. We saw the opening kickoff only went about 30 yards. But one thing that the kicker, Tumulty, can do is not necessarily boom them deep, but he positions his kickoffs real well. And if North Penn is unable to fall on the football, they've been having problems returning kicks and punts lately. CB West is going to be able to pick up the football. They scored 21 points against Neshaminy in the second half to open it up before the Redskins even touched the ball due to 3 straight recovered kicks. So North Penn really has to work on getting good returns and actually just hanging on to the football after a kickoff.
Well, the reason CB West kicker can kick the ball like on sides or deep if he wants is, unlike most kickers, he sets up towards the sideline and all his other players go to the far side.
Also, Chris McKelvey, we saw him back in the lineup. And we touched on it, North Penn back to the I veer tonight instead of the sweep offense. And that really, CB West had North Penn scouted without McKelvey, so they had their defense prepared for the sweep. And on that second play from scrimmage, the defense of CB West read the sweep, and you saw Heike Johnson just cut it up off of McKelvey's left side and picked up 10, maybe 12 yards. So North Penn sticking to that I veer, which we saw, 75% of the time Thanksgiving against Lansdale Catholic last year, the play was I veer. We could be seeing that tonight. Power I formation, North Penn now switches up back into a regular I. Fitzpatrick is split out to the right. 7:38 to go. It's a pitch to Heike Johnson. Good block by Kapusta. And Johnson picks up 6 yards for North Penn. It'll be 2nd and 4 from the Knights at the 24-yard line of CB West. Tell you what, Heike Johnson is looking good so far tonight. Comes into the game with 775 yards, needing 225 to reach the 1,000-yard plateau that he reached last season. If this continues, we might see Heike get 1,000 yards by the end of this night. Clay Kucklick on a quarterback sneak. Doesn't go too far, maybe 2 or 3 yards. He's close to a first down, but still short. North Penn has to get to about the 19-yard line of CB West. It'll be about 3rd and 2. You would imagine North Penn would want to get another series or another first down here. Even with the leg of Wes Heinel, the kicking game is really going to be affected. Right now they're actually going into the wind. The wind is blowing from right to left on your screen. And I don't know about a field goal right now. It'll probably be about close to a 40-yarder. They probably don't want Heinel kicking yet. They need to get closer. North Penn goes into a split back formation. 3rd and 2, a big play here. It's going to go to Johnson. He is stuffed in the backfield and dropped for a big loss by number 72, Chris Havner. North Penn will probably go for it. You would imagine this would be 4-down territory.
Well, normally when you're inside your opponent's 40, maybe even they're in their own 50, high school usually go for it.
Yeah, even as we said with Wes Heinel's leg, it would be a 40-yard field goal right now, and conditions just aren't ideal for the kicking game tonight. We've reached the halfway point of the first quarter. North Penn has had the ball the whole time. Still scoreless here at Crawford Stadium. 4th and 4. The game has its first crescendo in the crowd as they rise to their feet. 4th and 4, a big play. Kapusta goes into motion. It's a quick pitch to Heike Johnson. He has nowhere to run, and he is stuffed in the backfield. Missed assignments all over the place for North Penn, and Sean Janssen stops him in the backfield. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. They'll take over deep in their own territory. Good defensive stand by CB West, stopping North Penn from getting that next first down, which probably would have translated into points on the scoreboard.
Well, that would be one of the most important things for North Penn to have done, was come out and score first against CB West.
Let's quickly take a look at the CB West offensive starting lineups. Actually, we'll have them for you after this play. This is the first play from scrimmage from CB West. You can see the fog out there. It's a mist pretty much here at Crawford Stadium. Oriole at quarterback, he'll pitch out. And with plenty of room for CB West out across midfield. Dave Edwards makes the cutback, and he's at the 40-yard line of North Penn. Good run by Dave Edwards. That's the last thing North Penn wants to give up, and that's a big play on the first play from scrimmage for CB West.
Both teams have come out on their first play and showed a completely different team.
Okay, now we'll go with the starting lineups for CB West. The offensive line, Havner, Tor, Miskey, Carver, the former North Penn athlete, and the twins, Joe Wilson and John Wilson, on the offensive line. In the backfield for CB West, Mike Oriole, Dave Edwards, Dustin Picciotti, Greg Kinzel, and Matt Carey. 1st and 10 for the Bucks on North Penn's 41-yard line. Defensive starters after this play. North Penn stuffing the line. It's going to be another handoff to Edwards. He gets outside of Fran Mahan, and he is driven out of bounds after a 3-yard gain. 2nd and 7 for the Bucks. Here's the North Penn defense. On the line, Dave Koslow, Jeff Craig, Fran Mahan, Brick Mengel-Spurrio, and Dan Chang. In the secondary for North Penn, the linebackers are Mike Colinello, Mike Capusta, and Mike Moore. In the secondary, Steve Wagner, Heike Johnson, and Aaron Thomas. 5:11 on the clock here at Crawford Stadium. 2nd and 7. CB West has the ball in North Penn territory just outside the 40-yard line. There is a penalty against CB West. It appears to be possibly illegal forward pass. I'm not picking up the call. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was a sideline interference warning. That, of course, the players have to be 2 yards off the sideline. They get 1 warning in the game. Next time it's a 15-yard penalty. So both teams have been warned to stay 2 yards deep off of the sideline. You don't want to lose 15 yards on something like that. Here it goes to Dustin Picciotti. Good job by North Penn. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He breaks free. I thought they had him in the backfield. And there's Picciotti running over people like Dave Armstrong did last year, picking up close to a 1st down for CB West. 3rd and less than a yard.
Well, we talked about this in the Abington game. The North Penn line and the Abington line were completely mismatched, but the North Penn CB West lines, they're almost exactly identical.
And here is almost a similar situation as to what North Penn had when they had the possession last. CB West is probably in 4-down territory here. North Penn wants to come up with a stop, but they'll probably have to come up with 2 in a row. Tight formation. It goes to Picciotti. Ball is loose. North Penn has it. Dan Chang. He's got the 50. He's gone. He is gone. North Penn is going to take the lead on a turnover. Touchdown Knights, Dan Chang. I don't believe it. 3rd and 1. Dustin Picciotti, the very reliable running back, coughs up the football, and North Penn is in the lead. Oh, my.
There was a great block by Mike Colinello on that play, taking out the quarterback. Otherwise, I don't know if Chang would have got that touchdown.
Crowd on their feet here at Crawford Stadium. Dan Chang with the big stick. There he is. He's the hero so far. 6-0 North Penn. The extra point to follow. Wes Heinel is on to kick. Big play for the sophomore. He has done a yeoman's job for North Penn this season. We'll hear more about him from Coach Pettine at halftime when we have Coach's Corner. So with 4:17 on the clock, North Penn is on to kick the extra point. Clay Kucklick will hold. Ball is spotted. Kick is up. It's good. Oh, no, it's not. It's off the right post. It appeared that he just pushed it. Let's take a look at this replay. See if we can pick up that hit. It's Mike Capusta, and he caught it in midair. What a great play by Dan Chang to react, running through the fog at Crawford Stadium into the end zone. And he saw a great block against Mike Oriole before he could tackle Dan Chang, and he's mobbed in the end zone. It's plays like that that make a difference in big games.
Well, with this weather, the ball's going to be slipping all over the place. And that fumble wasn't like normal fumbles. Normally the ball falls straight to the ground. That one went straight up.
Now this is interesting because North Penn, one of the big keys to them losing to CB West last year was they fumbled the football 3 times, and CB West converted all 3 fumbles from North Penn into touchdowns on the ensuing drives. Of course, CB West with the game's only turnover right now, and that is the difference in this ball game, 6-0. So North Penn is on to kick off as they lead 6-0. Clock is stopped at 4:17 here in the first quarter. North Penn leads 6-0. Wes Heinel on to kickoff for North Penn. So far, Heike Johnson has 32 yards on 7 carries for North Penn. Picciotti has a few yards for CB West. CB West having a little bit of a difficulty with this kick return, but they do get out to the 32-yard line of CB West after fumbling that kickoff stop made by Steve Wagner for North Penn. Getting the return on that play was Sean Janssen. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. Looking to just hang on to the football now. They're deep in their own territory. Key for North Penn here is not to give up any big plays in this drive.
That kickoff, I don't know if Heinel hurt himself on that extra point, but John Corson was out there to make the kick.
Yeah, Wes Heinel has been struggling with a pulled groin injury ever since Council Rock a couple weeks ago. So we may see John Corson just handle kickoff duties for North Penn. Here's the pitch out to Dave Edwards. He is met at the far sideline and driven out of bounds by, I believe, Jeff Craig. Great pursuit by the defensive line of North Penn, reading that play and shifting outside and containing Edwards. That, of course, was the same play. He ran for 40 yards on that first play from scrimmage from CB West. 6-0 is your score here at Crawford Stadium. Clock running, under 4 minutes to go in the opening quarter. North Penn's defensive line really has a chance to shine against one of the best offensive lines in the state tonight. It's that battle in the trenches that's going to decide this game. Oriole hands it up to Picciotti. Pursuit from behind by Chris McKelvey. Beg your pardon, that's Dave Coslow, but not until Picciotti picked up a first down. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. Ball is now at the 44-yard line of CB West.
Picciotti's such a big back. If he gets through the line, you have to tackle him low. And Knights were trying to tackle him up high, and he just busts right through.
Yeah, if you're going to tackle a guy like Picciotti who goes, let's see, he's listed at 6'3", 235, you have to go for the legs. There's no way you're going to tackle a guy like Dustin Picciotti up high. Here goes Dave Edwards off tackle. He slips in the backfield, nowhere to go. There's the wet turf in between the 45-yard lines. It's a mess out there. It's a swamp at midfield. We might not see that NP at midfield by the end of this game.
I don't think we're going to see much grass by the end of the game, Kyle. If you look, every time there's been a line of scrimmage somewhere, there's at least a 5-yard space of dirt.
And the unfortunate thing for the grounds crew here at Crawford Stadium, who, by the way, does an excellent job preparing this field, Linsdale Catholic's playing here tomorrow night. They're going to have a heck of a time trying to get this field back in shape for North Penn's game against Pennsbury next week. Here's Picciotti up the middle. He's got room. Aaron Thomas somehow hangs on and tackles him, but not until after a 12-yard gain for a first down by Picciotti. Well, the comparisons ever since the beginning of the season have gone from Dustin Picciotti, number 33, to the Bucks' Dave Armstrong, number 34. Of course, Armstrong is now at Michigan University, where he's playing defensive end, but he was the Pennsylvania Big Schools State Player of the Year last year and is now at a full ride at Michigan University. It's just got to be an honor to be compared to Armstrong. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. It's a counter. It goes to Edwards. He picks up about 4 yards. And it'll be 2nd and 6 for the Bucks. It looked like the offensive line might have gotten away with the holding there. It looked like Jeff Craig was wrapped up, but no flag. 2nd and 6. Clock running, 1:45 to go in the opening quarter. A very eventful one for North Penn.
I think North Penn was lucky on that last play. Looked like the running back slipped on his way through the hole and couldn't get his footing, so he couldn't go anywhere.
Now you saw that counter by CB West. They also run a counter pass. We might see that later. Here's Edwards slashing up for another 4-yard gain. It'll be 3rd and 2. Another chance for North Penn's defense to shine. That counter pass that I was talking about, CB West scored a touchdown off of that play against Neshaminy last week, driving the nail into the coffin of Neshaminy. They really blew him out of the water. They had 35 points on the board by halftime and went on to a 42-14 win. 3rd and 2 for the Bucks. Ball just outside the 37-yard line of North Penn. Tight formation for the Bucks. They hand it off up the middle of Picciotti. He falls over the pile and picks up 3 yards and another CB West first down. Right here is where CB West has been known for the past several years as being a team that can beat you in short yardage situations. They had North Penn deep in their territory. They had a 3rd and 2, and there was the turnover, which turned into the points on the board for North Penn. That seems to be the only way that you're going to stop CB West.
Well, it seems like CB West has something to prove. They're coming out firing off the ball, trying to make up for that fumble.
1st and 10 for the Bucks. Backs in an I formation. Edwards and Picciotti. Oriole under center. Here goes Picciotti. He bowls forward, but not for much. Maybe a 2-yard gain. Tackle made by Fran Mahan and Corey Jackson. One thing we've said a lot about North Penn's defense this year is that they have been gang tackling an awful lot, and that seems to be the only way you're going to bring down Dustin Pettine. Put maybe 2 guys on him and try to tackle him. Well, that is the end of the first quarter, a very eventful one here at Crawford Stadium. North Penn is in a 6-0 lead thanks to a Dan Chang 65-yard fumble recovery return for a touchdown. We will be back after this short break with the second quarter here from rain-soaked Crawford Stadium. Stay with us.
Out with a pretty trashy circle. The circle that helps this circle by recycling trash. We sort glass, plastic, separate cans, stack newspapers and magazines. Now, thanks to us, there are lots of products made from things we've already recycled. This cereal box wants your Sunday paper. These paper clips, in a more daring life, a 56 convertible. The circle works like this. It starts when we recycle trash at home and at work. It's completed when we buy products made from or packaged in recycled materials. How do you know the difference? Check the label for something called post-consumer recycled content. It looks like this. Make a mental note. Then buy the highest percentage of it you can find. You'll save a tree, you'll save energy, and in your own way, you'll help save the world. Complete the circle.
Call 1-800-CALL-EDF for your free Buy Recycled shopping guide. 1-800-CALL-EDF.
Welcome back to Crawford Stadium. 2nd and 8 for the Bucks. Ball on the 31. North Penn is in the lead 6-0 in the mud. Here's a quick draw to Edwards. He'll pick up 5 yards close to a first down. Chadd, 6-0 after one period tonight. It's a heck of a lot different than last year after one quarter up at War Memorial Stadium in this game.
Well, at the end of the first quarter, Kyle, fans were up standing in the stands. Everybody was cheering because last year, at the end of the first quarter, North Penn was losing 21-0.
There you see our principal, who is in the middle, mind you, and Alf is on the left. 6-0 North Penn in the lead. 3rd and 3. Ball is at North Penn's 27. Another short yardage 3rd down situation for CB West. North Penn's going to stack the 5-yard box. They have 9 players on defense in that area. It's the pitch to Edwards. He doesn't have anywhere to go. Mike Moore with a big stop. It'll be 4th and about 1. I would imagine CB West could go for it here.
I would assume they were, but Moore stepping up and making the big stop for North Penn like he's been doing all year.
Mike Moore, the leader in sacks for North Penn with 3 so far this season. 4th and a long 1 for CB West. I would imagine they would just hand it off to Dustin Pettine or just give it up the middle to Mike Oriole on a QB keeper. Tight formation for the Bucks. North Penn stacking the line. Crowd cheering on the Knights defense. Oh, somebody moved. I'm not sure if it's going to be on Dave Edwards. It looked like he was just going into motion. North Penn jumped off sides. Let's see if it was provoked. And it is. It will be against CB West. A huge break for the Knights. That'll make it 4th and 6. That'll change the play selection for both teams here, both on defense and offense. So they go from 4th and 1, a key penalty by Dave Edwards costing the Bucks 5 yards.
I still think they're going to go for it, Kyle, because I mean, you're so far into the zone, you can't kick it. The weather's not with you anyway. So you might as well just go for it. If you don't make it, oh well.
It looks like that's going to be the case. 4th and 6 for the Bucks. Mike Kapusta bringing in the play for the Knights defense. You might see the Bucks go play action pass here. They're going to call an official's timeout. I'm not sure what for. It will be now a charge timeout to CB West. They're going to think this play over, giving them time. And no sense hurrying here. This is probably a crucial play early on. It is a sellout crowd here at Crawford Stadium. We have been witnesses to the tickets going on in the Student Center at North Penn High School. Crawford Stadium has a capacity of somewhere around 6,800. There are more people than 6,800 here tonight. I will go on record as saying that. There are many people crowding the fences as well. And we're bringing it all to you here on North Penn Television. Of course, North Penn Television's monthly program On Location is designed to highlight areas within the North Penn School District. The show takes a viewer on location to events, activities, and classes throughout the North Penn School District. This month, we host the show from the ESC, the Educational Services Center. On this extended version, we take a look at the North Penn Career Camp, the Merck Institute for Science Summer Workshop, North Penn Transportation Department, the North Penn Summer Library Program, a special event involving North Penn students and residents of Brittany Point, Gwynnor Science Projects, and the North Penn Marching Knights outdoor program. Look for On Location every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. right here on North Penn Television, Channel 16. Back now at Crawford Stadium, 4th and 6. Once again, another early big play. 10:24 to go in the first half. North Penn up 6-0. A defensive stand here would give the Knights more momentum. Ball is on their own 31-yard line. Here we go. 4th and 6. CB West comes to the line, backs in an open formation. Oriole at quarterback. He'll hand off. No, it's a play-action pass. He's rolling right. He fires. Complete. Does he have the first down? I don't think so. It'll depend on the spot. They might measure it. Knocked out of bounds by Kapusta. They're going to measure it. This is crucial. The officials are going to call timeout for a measurement. This is a big key to this game. If North Penn can come up with the football here, that's a huge momentum boost. CB West hoping that they got the first down. This is awfully close. This could be a couple inches. Ball is just around the 24-yard line. There's a great shot of the measurement down there on the sideline. They stretch the chains, and CB West gets the first down. A very close call. Coach is right down there looking at it, and he doesn't know what to say. Just getting the first down by no more than the nose of the football. That's probably the closest measurement I've ever seen.
That has to be giving CB West so much momentum right now. Their offense has to be so pumped.
You can rest assured Coach Pettine Sr. on the CB West sideline was holding his breath for that measurement. First and go ahead, Chad. I'm sorry.
I know that's the last thing they want to do is lose to North Penn. I mean, Thanksgiving for them is going to be hectic if they do.
1st and 10 for the Bucks on the North Penn 23-yard line. Give us to Picciotti up the middle. He's wrapped up by Kapusta after about a 4 or 5 yard gain. Big blocking holes by CB West running off of that left guard, left tackle gap. And they got some big guys in there. CB West averages 255 yards, 255 pounds rather, on the offensive line, running between Ben Carver and Joe Wilson, two giants on the CB West offense. Ben Carver, of course, has orally committed to go to the University of Virginia on a full-ride scholarship to play on the offensive line. He's 6'3", 310. Another handoff to Picciotti. He's tripped up at the line of scrimmage. Is the ball loose? I'm not sure. He stumbles forward. And it will be a first down, so he does manage to eke out a couple more yards on second effort. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. Ball is now at the North Penn 17-yard line. Bucks continue to drive and ground out the running game. Only one pass thrown in this game, and it was a couple plays ago when Oriole picked up the first down pass by a matter of centimeters to his running back, Dave Edwards. Backs in the I formation. Edwards behind Picciotti. Oriole at quarterback. He will give up the middle to Picciotti. He has room. He gets about 6 or 7 yards just running over the North Penn offensive line. Mike Collinell making a self-defense tackle against Picciotti.
North Penn needs to come up with a big stop right now because CB West can get a first down inside the 5-yard line.
That is correct. They do have another chance to get a 1st and goal situation. North Penn will change up on defense. They're going to bring in, I think, a 5 or 6 man front. Jeff Michael comes in replacing Dan Chang. CB West gives a little wishbone formation here. 2nd and 3. Ball on the North Penn 6-yard line. Give is to Picciotti. He's up the middle. Touchdown, Bucks. We have a tie ball game here at Crawford Stadium on Picciotti's 6-yard run. 6-all at Crawford Stadium. 8:18 to go in the first half. You had to assume that the ball was going to be given to Dustin Picciotti up the middle.
Well, he's been their go-to guy so far in every short yardage play.
Almost every play for that matter. On to kick the extra point is number 63, Bob Tumulty. Strange number for a kicker, but he has been very accurate. High snap, ball is spotted, kick is up. It is good, just inside the left upright. And CB West is into a 1-point lead, 7-6. Here's a look at Pachotti's rumble up the middle for the touchdown. A hurdle at the line of scrimmage, and he bowls over Heike Johnson and Mike Kapusta for the touchdown. 7-6, CB West in the lead in front of a somewhat stunned student section here at Crawford Stadium. Of course, in the elements, there is still tailgate partying going on in the parking lot. You got to hand it to the North Penn student body. They really support these. They really support this team. (7-6) North Penn into the lead, or I beg your pardon, CB West into the lead. 8:18 to go in this first half. Conditions continue to worsen here at North Penn, although the rain has not picked up. Just a matter of wear and tear on the field here. It's basically a mist coming down out of the skies, blowing from right to left here at Crawford Stadium. You can only imagine there won't be much passing in this game.
Well, left side of the field looks all right, Kyle, but the right side of the field where the ball's been most of the time is all ripped up.
Yeah, well, the ball has not been inside the 25-yard line on the left side of the field. Both touchdowns came on the right side of the field. North Penn scoring a defensive touchdown. CB West bangs out a big drive and gets a touchdown and gets into the lead. Now here's what we got to watch out for. Bob Tumulty on to kick off. He looks like he's going to be angling the kick up. North Penn cheating up. It's a little squib kick taken on a couple hops by one of the up men. He gets to the outside. That was Mike Landis, number 31, getting out to the 34-yard line. 1st and 10, North Penn. They trail by 1 with 8:13 to go in the second quarter.
That was a great job by Landis picking that ball up in this weather and running for a couple extra yards. Most people would have been hesitant to pick the ball up and run.
Yeah, it looked like he tried to make sure that he wasn't on one knee when he picked up that football and managed to get about 10 or 15 more yards for North Penn. Ball at the 36-yard line of the Knights, looking to get a scoring drive together to get back into the lead in this close ball game. Colinello goes into motion to the near side. Kucklick hands off to Heike Johnson, gets a block, and is still on his feet. Flag on the play. Ball is loose. Ball is still loose. And it goes out of bounds, I think. North Penn does recover. But there is a flag on the play. This could be all for naught, probably a holding. It will be holding, a 10-yard penalty against North Penn. That was similar to the kickoff return in the second half against Abington last week. That ball was on the ground for probably 5 or 6 seconds. Let's take a look and see if we can pick up who caused the fumble in this fog. It was that simple sweep left. And Johnson was looking like he was fighting for a couple more yards where he was hit right there from behind. I can't pick up the number. Ball was recovered, then punched out, and I think Mike Colinello might have fallen on it for North Penn. Brian Buckley with the hit to knock that ball loose for CB West. So the 10-yard penalty against North Penn. And it'll be 1st and 20 for the Knights. Ball on the 26-yard line. 8:07 to go in the second quarter.
North Penn getting very lucky on that fumble. The ball went out of bounds.
Yeah, because obviously that penalty would have been declined by CB West had they recovered the fumble. So North Penn getting a little bit of a break, although it comes at a 10-yard penalty price. Kucklick at quarterback, backs in an open set. Johnson and Kapusta. Here it goes to Heike Johnson. He's wrapped up. Good coverage on the right end by Bill Stone, number 14. North Penn did not have a lead block for Heike Johnson, and he's not going to be able to make those cuts he's so used to making in these conditions.
There you see a shot of the players. They're all muddy. That just gives you an idea of what the field's really like.
Yeah, we'll notice it more on CB West uniforms because they're in the white uniforms with the black pants. North Penn in the navy blue jerseys and pants. You won't be able to see the mud, but trust me, they're dirty. 7.5 to go in the first half. North Penn trails by 1, 7-6. Aaron Thomas comes into motion. Here's the inside reverse to Thomas. He's got room, gets a block from Fitzpatrick. Oh, one step away from breaking that for a touchdown was Thomas. But he does pick up, I think, a first down, and he does. Sean Janssen was the lone person for CB West to make that tackle. That was the play. Thomas ran for 98 yards. You saw him come in motion to set that up. That's a big play and a good call by Coach Pettine. Let's take a look at it real quick. Let's see. Thomas is, there you see him in motion. They'll fake the draw to Heike Johnson, and Fitzpatrick just lets Janssen go real quick. You see the frustration from Thomas. Back now live. Heike Johnson off of left tackle picks up 3 or 4 yards. A good pickup, making something out of nothing. Koslow and Jackson pulling in front of him. It'll be 2nd and 6 for North Penn, just inside midfield. Now that play by Darren Thomas, although it wasn't a touchdown, was a big play. Picked up 15, maybe even 20 yards, and really gave North Penn some momentum. They feel that they can run the ball against CB West once again.
And most of all, it gave North Penn a first down.
Exactly, and that North Penn does not want to have to go short yardage against CB West. Timeout called, the second of the half by CB West. They only have one remaining. The North Penn crowd saluting the Knights after picking up a first down after giving up a penalty. Nice job by the Knights to recover. 6:26 on the clock here at Crawford Stadium in the second quarter. North Penn trailing 7-6. We remind you to watch North Penn News. It covers events and stories that take place throughout all of North Penn's 17 schools. Tune in every weeknight at 6 p.m. for the latest in North Penn's news here on Channel 16. Some of the marching Knights getting it up for the North Penn football Knights. They're going crazy. They know it's a close game, and they know how much this means. This game is so big, the JV cheerleaders have even joined the varsity cheerleaders tonight. They've been playing that up all week. Big contingency of cheerleaders on the North Penn sideline. They are really getting this crowd crazy. North Penn going power I formation, double tight end. 2nd and 5. Now they'll go into motion. Now into an open set go Kapusta and Heike Johnson. Here goes Kapusta up the middle. He's met after about a 1-yard gain by CB West, Joe Wilson, 6'4", 280. You're not going to go too far if you run into that. Of course, Joe Wilson and his twin brother, John Wilson, the tight end for the Bucks, as Joe Wilson doubles up as both a offensive tackle and a defensive tackle. They are both Division I prospects, but the deal with those two is they want to go to the same school. They're a package deal, and that's how they want to get through college, playing football on the same team. And that's a great thing for both of the Wilson brothers. 3rd and 3 for the Knights. They need to get to the CB West 44-yard line. We'll see what they do. It's a pitch right to Johnson. He cannot get there. Good tackle by CB West on that play, stopping Johnson before he could turn that corner. Down at the bottom of the pile was number 9 for CB West, Brian Buckley, who's made a couple big tackles. We'll see if North Penn punts or they go for it. They need about 2 yards. They're going to stick with the first-team offense. They have not brought John Corson in to punt. They're going to go for it. This is a message from son to father saying, we're not going to put up with this. We're taking it right down your throats. Here we go. Ball just outside the 45-yard line. Clock running. 5 minutes to go in the opening half. 7-6, North Penn trails. It's a big play for them, needing a first down. The Knights go into motion. Kuckle possibly calling an audible. Oh, a false start by North Penn. That is crucial. They're going to have to punt now. I don't believe it. We saw CB West do that on that one 4th and short play, and they wound up going 4th and 6. They still went for it. But North Penn at midfield will wind up punting this football. So a costly mistake. Who knows if North Penn got that first down, they might have gone on to score some points. But John Corson, with his leg, has a good chance to knock this ball deep into CB West territory. Punt coverage is crucial.
Well, if North Penn's lucky enough, they can maybe get somebody downfield. With this weather being the way it is, they might be able to catch the ball off a bounce of one of the receiver's chests.
Phil DiGiacomo, number 12. Oh, no, a bad snap by North Penn. I don't believe this. Corson's going to fall on it. Oh, my. CB West takes over at the 25 actually the 20-yard line of North Penn. We saw a costly turnover by CB West earlier in the game, and this is definitely a costly turnover by the Knights.
Well, that's been the first bad snap we've seen all year out of Dave Messerschmidt.
Let's take a look at this replay. This is the wet ball right here. Oh my, he launched that right over his head. And Corson, who is only 5'10", is not going to catch that ball. Officials timeout as CB West comes into the game on offense, and the chains are set up. Tough break for North Penn. We were thinking John Corson was going to be able to punt that ball right down deep into CB West territory, and now the Bucks have a great opportunity to come away with more points on the board. So the first North Penn turnover of the game gives CB West the ball at their own 21-yard line with 4:36 on the clock. CB West splits two wide receivers to the right side. Number 24, Ted Kenyon, and number 21, Dave Edwards. Oriole hands off the middle to Picciotti. Good play by North Penn defense as Picciotti is met by 3 of the Knights. After maybe a 2 or 3 yard gain, we'll see where they spot it. Jeff Craig and Dave Coslow along with Mike Kapus to make the stop for the Knights.
Well, that right there is what I was talking about. CB West coming and firing off the ball. At the end of the play, if you saw that, his offensive linemen were about 10 yards down the field, and he was still laying on the ground.
Good job of North Penn's linebackers and defensive line to shed those blocks and come up and make the stick after only a 2-yard gain. 2nd and 8 on North Penn's 19-yard line. CB West will go into an I formation, double tight end. It will be a handoff outside to Dave Edwards. He goes nowhere, maybe 1 yard. You saw all of North Penn's defense shift over, read that play real well. They read their keys perfectly. And it will be about 3rd and 6 for CB West.
North Penn can get a big stop here. It'll be a big motivational boost.
And CB West, I would imagine, would go for it here. They went for it from about the same position on the field, maybe a couple yards up. Timeout is being called on the field. It's an official's timeout. Appears to be a problem with Jeff Craig's equipment. One of the officials is trying to help him out. CB West is going to spread out the field here. They go with Kenyon and Edwards on the right side. They'll split out another receiver on split end on the far side of the field. 3rd and 6 for the CB West Bucks. Coach is calling for a timeout from North Penn. They don't get it. Is the ball loose? Yes. Oh no, I think CB West somehow fell on that ball. Once again, the ball squirting around. North Penn clearly had it, but then dropped it. CB West gains about 4 or 5 yards on that play. Unbelievable tough break for North Penn. They had Picciotti stopped in the backfield. He fumbled the ball forward, and CB West takes over. 4th and 2. Let's take a look at this real quick and see if we can pick up the fumble. There the ball's loose. You see it right there. North Penn was on it and then dropped it. And I think Ben Carver might have fallen on it for the Central Bucks West Bucks. 4th and a long one for CB West. 2.5 to go in the opening half. North Penn comes up with a stop here. They have 2 timeouts to work with to try to get back on the board. Oriole gives it up the middle of Picciotti. Ball is loose. Doesn't matter if North Penn doesn't recover it. It'll still be North Penn ball. A failed conversion for CB West. 1st and 10 North Penn. The 3rd fumble by CB West in the first half. This time, doesn't matter who recovered it. North Penn football.
Seems like in every North Penn football game so far this year, there's been at least 3 fumbles, maybe more.
Let's take a look at this replay, see if we can pick it up. It might have just been a botched handoff. Yeah, it is. It just bounces off of Picciotti, and it looks like Mike Moore fell on it for the Knights, number 33. So North Penn on their own 15-yard line, 2:17 on the clock. They have 2 timeouts. They trail the Bucks by 1 point, 7-6 here at Crawford Stadium. This is a big drive for North Penn. They have to go 85 yards to score, but if they can bust off a couple big plays, now they'll go by committee to the right side, switching the strong side. Johnson is the tailback. It's a play-action pass. Kucklick going deep for Fitzpatrick. Oh, just overthrown into double coverage. North Penn going for it all right there. A great effort by Fitzpatrick at midfield.
Kucklick coming out and showing that he has a pretty big arm, and it doesn't matter whether it's raining or not. He's still going to try and go deep on you.
Fitzpatrick had a step, had full extension, but did not catch the football. It was a bit overthrown. It'll be 2nd and 10 for North Penn.
Well, it was in that 45-yard area in the middle of the field where it's been all ripped up. It's all muddy. Personally, I think he tripped over his own feet or the mud, or I don't know. He had 3 CB West players around him, so he might have even tripped over their feet.
He could have just even lost a couple steps of speed. As he gets into that mud area, you're not going to get as much speed when you're running through that area. Kuklik still at quarterback for the Knights. Quick draw up the middle to Kapusta. He's got plenty of room. 1st and 10, North Penn still on his feet. A pickup of 15 yards for the junior fullback. Number 43, big run for the Knights. Plenty of blocking room for him, too, right up the middle.
I think Haiki was teaching him his spin move and why they were inside before pregame.
Let's take a look at Kapusta's run. This was lovely. Up the middle, he goes pretty much untouched until about 10 yards deep in the backfield, then drags a couple CB West players, namely number 10, Phil DiGiacomo. 1st and 10 for the Knights at the 33-yard line. Clock running. 1:45 to go in the second half. North Penn might go into a hurry-up offense now. They trail by 1. Backs in a split formation. Kuklik. Hands up the middle. Here's Colinello. He's got room. Ball is loose. Oh, my, I don't believe it. If it goes out of bounds, it's North Penn football. It goes out of bounds. What a break for the Knights. I don't believe it. It appeared that CB West was going to recover that football, but before the player had control of it, he slid out of bounds. It'll be North Penn football, 1st and 10 off of Colinello's run. Let's take a look at this replay, see where we can pick up where this ball was knocked loose and who did it. Colinello, a little inside reverse. And just at about the 50-yard line, the ball is knocked loose. And you saw the ball gets right out of bounds. The side judge right on that play making an excellent call. Clock is stopped with 1:28 to go. 1st and 10 North Penn on their own 47-yard line, moving the ball well against CB West. I think Kuklik is going to call timeout here, not liking what he saw at the line of scrimmage. The 2nd timeout for North Penn. They have 1 left in the first half, 7-6. North Penn trails by 1. Clock stopped with 1:28 to go. They have the ball at the 47-yard line as Coach Pettine Jr. is out to talk to his troops, trying to devise a plan to get back on the scoreboard before this half is over.
The Knights can keep the score the way it is. It's 6-7, CB West winning. That would be a great improvement from last year, down 35-0 at the half.
Mr. Ted Heller hosts North Penn's Finest, a talk show that takes a closer look at activities, events, and happenings throughout the North Penn School District. He takes a look at North Penn's high school's theater troupe, who recently competed internationally on this week's edition. North Penn's Finest can be seen Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. right here on North Penn Television, Channel 16. Coach Pettine shouting to the sideline, looking for a substitution. Aaron Thomas is going to come into the huddle. We might see him used here. Maybe not necessarily running the ball, but faking a play with him. Or they might just split him out wide and send him down the field. He is the fastest player on North Penn.
Yeah, Evan Fitzpatrick may not have been able to catch up with that ball, but I think Aaron Thomas could.
Well, this is just more than we could have asked for. A close game. It was 35-0 at halftime, CB West last season. The conditions on the field might have a little bit to do with that, but there's no doubt about it. North Penn football is a lot better this year than they were last year. And if you look at 2 years ago to this year, it's been a 180-degree turnaround for the North Penn football program, and you got to give credit to Coach Pettine for turning this team around. First and 10 for North Penn. Ball at the 47-yard line. Backs in an open set. CB West splitting their 4 defensive ends out. It's going to be a reverse to Thomas. He's got plenty of room. He gets a block upfield, cuts it up, and gets a first down for North Penn. He's knocked out of bounds after a pickup of 11 yards. There you see Coach Pettine called for Thomas to come into the huddle, runs the wide receiver reverse, turns the corner, and he gets the first down. Great play by Thomas.
Oh, there were some big blocks thrown out in front of him by Dave Koslow, Chris McKelvey. There's some very big guys to have out in top.
Let's take a look at that reverse by Aaron Thomas. It was executed to perfection by North Penn. Clay Kuklik just needed one more block downfield, so they're a little late getting to that man. But nonetheless, 1st and 10 North Penn. Clock stopped at 1:21. Knights go into a shotgun formation. Thomas split to the left with Johnson. Kucklick back to pass. Fires over the middle. Wide open is Fitzpatrick. Across the middle for a 20-yard gain. 1st and 10 North Penn. The little 15-yard slant. Weston a cover 2. That zone is wide open all the time for North Penn. They might exploit that for the rest of this game.
It's like North Penn's just going to try and go with it. They're not going to try and call timeout.
Hurry up formation for the Knights as the clock will run on the referee's signal. It runs, 1:10 to go. Kucklick will spike it, stopping the clock and saving a timeout. 1:08 to go in the second half, or in the second quarter, I should say. 7-6 CB West in the lead, but North Penn is moving the ball well. Clay Kucklick throwing a great ball on that last pass.
North Penn's coming out saying, you think you got a great offense? Well, we have a better one.
You're looking at the two best teams in District 1 football right here on the same field at Crawford Stadium. This is more than we could have asked for. 4 wide receivers for North Penn. They are Fitzpatrick, Colinello, Thomas, and Heike Johnson. Kapusta, the lone running back in the backfield. Clay Kucklick. Pass is deflected and is just hitting the ground before CB West could pick it off. Kucklick holding onto the football just a little too long. And it'll be 3rd and 10 for North Penn. They're going to need to get a first down here.
Oh, it's by splitting 4 guys out wide, it doesn't leave you much protection inside.
Clock stopped with 1:03 to go. After the incomplete pass, North Penn, same formation, 4 wide receivers. They are Fitzpatrick, Colinello, Johnson, and Thomas. Kucklick drops back. He's looking left, fires over the middle. Fitzpatrick catches it. He's short of the first down, fights to get out of bounds. A good play by Fitzpatrick, although he did not get the first down, although the officials are saying to run the clock. Well, they have stopped the clock. I'm not sure if it's a North Penn timeout. It is. So that's the Knights' last timeout with 52 seconds left. It will be 4th and maybe about 2 or 3 yards for North Penn from the 23-yard line. Or the 18-yard line, I beg your pardon. Let's take a look at Fitzpatrick's catch. And he does a good job of not necessarily just catching the football, but knowing where he is and trying to get out of bounds. Although the official said he did not get out of bounds, I don't agree with that call. But North Penn moving to the passing offense as the running game was not working for them. They went with a trick play to get the momentum going. Got a first down, and they've been throwing the ball. Of course, Clay Kucklick only threw 1 pass against Abington last week, but they had the ground game running real well for the Knights. So if the run game's not going for them, they're going to go to the pass game. And we saw this last year against CB West. North Penn had Tom Parentozzi go to the air. They weren't as successful as they wanted to be. They appear to be moving the ball real well through the air so far tonight.
Well, that's because of what you said earlier, Kyle. CB West is going with a cover 2 package, which is 2 safeties deep, 1 guy on each corner, and they're not moving anybody up on anybody inside.
Well, Wes Heinel is not in the huddle on the North Penn sideline. Ball's at the 17-yard line. It would be about a 34, 35-yard field goal. You're not going to see Wes Heinel kick that football, I would not imagine.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw North Penn come out and run a little 5 and out to Evan Fitzpatrick again.
It is 4th and 3 or 4 yards for North Penn at the 17-yard line of CB West. It is 4th and 3. North Penn gets this first down. They are in prime position to put some points on the board here before the half is closed out. They go into a tight formation, double tight end, 3 backs. Kucklick is going to sneak it. Oh, it's a fake pass into the end zone. Touchdown, Knights! I don't believe it. Heike Johnson to Evan Fitzpatrick. They fake the snap. They go direct snap to Heike Johnson, faking the sneak, fooling everybody at Crawford Stadium, including myself and the CB West defense. The Knights are in the lead. Oh, my goodness.
I saw the ball be snapped to Heike, but I didn't understand what was going on. I thought maybe play deflected and Heike caught it and didn't know what to do with it because he just stood there.
Coach Pettine takes a little bit of a trick out of his father's playbook, goes to the direct snap, halfback pass. Oh my, Evan Fitzpatrick hauling that one in. Touchdown Knights as we're exchanging high fives here in the press box. This place is going nuts. North Penn is going to go with the 2-point conversion as they had missed the kick. Shotgun formation, Kuklik might see a quarterback draw here. He's going to fire over the middle, complete to Thomas. No, he dropped it. Oh, he was hit just as he caught it. We are going to have to take a look at this play. This was unbelievable. There you see direct snap through the legs. Johnson holds on to it and fires into the end zone. Great camera work, guys. Good job not being fooled on that play. Touchdown Knights. It's 12-7 here at Crawford Stadium as the crowd is on their feet. I don't believe what I just saw.
If you would have seen the football team, they might have gotten a penalty. They were like 10 yards onto the field, almost the whole team, everybody jumping up and down in a big circle.
Hey, you can't blame them. They just pulled off a trick play against one of the best coaches in high school football history in Pennsylvania, Coach Mike Pettine. I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing, or Coach Pettine Jr. will be talking to his dad about that one for many weeks, many months, maybe even years to come, if that turns out to be the difference in this ball game.
The only other place I've seen that used a direct snap to the halfback was the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl games.
Yeah, they used to use that with Thurman Thomas out of the backfield, but of course they use the run play. There we see a halfback pass, Heike Johnson, and he threw a great ball to Evan Fitzpatrick. You got to give Johnson credit. He's only thrown one pass before in his career, and it was against CB West last year on a halfback option, and he had it intercepted. So, actually right now, Clay Kuklik and Heike Johnson have the same number of touchdown passes for the Knights. And Heike Johnson's quarterback rating has to be through the roof. 1 for 1, a 17-yard touchdown pass. Here's Corson's kick. He'll probably squib it, and he does. A smart play taken by one of the upmen by CB West. He gets to the 42-yard line. That's Dustin Pichotti, not your typical kick returner. It's 1st and 10 for the Bucks. They have 42 seconds left, no timeouts remaining. 12-7, North Penn into the lead at a fired-up Crawford Stadium.
Well, there was a rumor at the beginning of the year that maybe North Penn was going to be moving Heike to quarterback.
Well, who knows after that? North Penn will be going into a somewhat prevent defense, although CB West appears like they're going to pass. Here's Oriole, rolling left, fires. Good defense by North Penn, but was it caught? I'm not sure. Waiting for a signal. It was incomplete. Good defense by Aaron Thomas and Clay Kuklik in double coverage over there. Keeping it clean, but knocking the ball loose as soon as it was caught.
Well, I think the reason it got knocked loose was Kuklik ran into Aaron Thomas, and Thomas just hit the CB West receiver, and he didn't know what to do because he didn't know what happened.
35 seconds to go in the first half. CB West will spread Ted Kenyon out far to the right side. Here's a reverse. It's Edwards. He has room. He is out across midfield, picking up 10, maybe 11 yards, close to a CB West first down. I believe he has it. That'll stop the clock momentarily. 1st and 10 for the Bucks at the North Penn 48-yard line. They go no huddle.
That was a great job by Kuklik staying home as an outside linebacker, getting back to make that tackle.
27 seconds to go in the second half. Ball is spiked by CB West, stopping the clock with 24 seconds left. In the first half, they trail by 5, 12-7. When CB West takes over after this brief pause, it will be 2nd and 10 on North Penn's 48-yard line.
North Penn looks like they're going with like a nickel package, bringing Jeff Craig off the line and moving another player back to play safety.
Here goes Oriole. He's back to pass. Pressure. He fires down the sideline. It is caught. Is he inbounds? No, out of bounds. Good call by the official. He has to get a foot inbounds, so it will be 3rd and 10. $18 seconds to go in the first half as the cheerleaders get the crowd pumped up here at Crawford Stadium. 12-7, North Penn into the lead. After that last touchdown, a miraculous play by Heike Johnson to Evan Fitzpatrick. I have a pretty good feeling that's going to be our play of the game, regardless of the outcome. CB West will now bring in a passing package. You would imagine they'll be going deep for it here. Matt Barrett split out wide to the right. Here's Oriole. He rolls left. Almost drops the football. He's under pressure. He's going to run for it. He is swarmed and dropped after a 3-yard gain. That should be the end of the first half. And North Penn is stunning the football world right now. They lead 12-7 at the halftime. This crowd is going crazy here at Crawford Stadium. CB West marching to the locker room, finding themselves down at halftime for the first time in a very long while. 12-7, the North Penn Knights and Mike Pettine Jr. leading CB West and his father, Mike Pettine Sr. We ask you to stay with us here at Crawford Stadium. We're going to take a short break and come back with Coach's Corner. I had a chance to talk with Coach Mike Pettine of the Knights, as well as Martin Leonard and Heike Johnson. So stick around. We'll be back with Coach's Corner right after this break.
You don't have to like me.
Or you can. You don't have to be my friend.
But you might like me if you got to know me.
You don't have to be my roommate.
I am gonna be your neighbor. You don't have to run with me.
You really don't have to run away from me.
You may not like what I have to say.
But hear me.
Hear me out.
And what not all that different? I like good food.
Good music.
I love my mom. I want to fall in love.
Madly. I want a good job.
I want my kids to live in a world
Where they're safe and loved.
And respected for who they are.
You don't have to like me. But if you talk to me,
You might.
we can end prejudice if we talk to each other. Call. Tell us what you do.
Together we can build one America.
Next trip to the store, look for products made from recycled materials. Then buy them.
Call 1-800-CALL-EDF for your free Buy Recycled shopping guide.
Welcome back to Crawford Stadium. You just saw one of the greatest plays I've ever seen, one of the most original plays I've ever seen, and could quite possibly be the most historic play in North Penn history, should this turn out to be a North Penn victory. Let's take a look at Heike Johnson's pass to Evan Fitzpatrick. They fake the sneak to Kukoc through the legs. You see Heike just standing back there, taking his time, and Matula Ijmera, you're the man. Great camera work upstairs, buddy. Evan Fitzpatrick giving North Penn a lead that they hope to hang on to. They are up 12-7 here at halftime at Crawford Stadium. Right now, we're going to throw it to Coach's Corner with Martin Leonard, Heike Johnson, and Coach Pettine that we taped earlier this week. Check it out.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Kyle Berger. Joining me on today's show is the coach of the North Penn Football Knights, Mike Pettine, and I'm also joined by Martin Leonard and Heike Johnson, two of the players for the Knights. Coach, thanks for joining us today. Let's first start off by talking about the first 5 weeks of the season. You guys are 5-0, a very successful start, but at some cost.
Sure. I mean, we're pleased. I mean, I thought we did a good job of taking things 1 week at a time. Unfortunately, against Council Rock, that victory came with a pretty severe price tag. Martin Leonard, who's here today, suffered a broken leg. We had 2 other starters that went down with knee injuries. We had a hurt shoulder. We had a hurt neck. So it was nothing I've ever been through as a player, a coach, a head coach or an assistant coach. But that's something that's it's a form of adversity. And I thought the kids did a good job of stepping it up. The kids who needed to fill in, and we had real positive results the 2 ensuing weeks. So even though that happened, I mean that's part of sports. I mean as tough as it is to see some of your best go down, you have to move on.
Now let's go back to the first week of the season, the season opener against Penn Ridge, a 20-19 win, a come-from-behind victory. You started off a bit slow, obviously, in that game. Do you think that was just a bit of like the first week jitters, perhaps, a little misexecution?
Sure. Well, we looked at the film. I mean, it was a combination of several players. We'd missed some assignments and weren't executing certain things. And I give Penn Ridge some credit, that they showed up ready to play and they were flying to the football. But we really hurt ourselves, and I think we did a nice job in the second half bouncing back, especially in the last 7 minutes, showing the character to be able to come back from 2 scores down.
Now we'll jump 3 weeks in a row. You guys played excellent defense, pretty much shutting out the teams. Ben Salem did manage to get a couple points on the board against you. but defense has been the story for the most part for your team this year.
We felt, as like we feel any other year, that if you can play great defense, you're going to be in every football game. The offense will come and go. Hopefully it'll be clicking and doing well. But especially at Council Rock, when the guys went down, we felt, hey, listen, if we play great D, to me a 10-7 win is just as good as a 35-0 win. So we felt that we wanted to play great defense, and that would keep us in line.
Of course, that doesn't overshadow the offense. So, I mean, Heike Johnson, who we have here today, has just been having an excellent year for you guys, and also Aaron Thomas has been stepping up recently for you.
Sure. Well, that's a help. I mean, obviously, anytime you want to have a great offense and play great D. But like I said, if we had to prioritize, we would want to play great defense. But we've been fortunate, especially the last few weeks. The offense has really been clicking, and Heike will be the first guy to tell you that it's the guys up front. A lot of his runs, he's not even getting touched till he's 6, 7, 8, 9 yards into the secondary. And then he makes a lot of yardage after first contact as well. But I think Clay Kuklik has done a nice job filling in for Joe Talise, who's injured. Like you said, Aaron is a nice change-up to have. Mike Kapust is doing a nice job at fullback. But I think it really centers around the offensive line and how well they've played of late.
So yeah, let's talk about that offensive line for a little bit. Dave Koslow has had 2 excellent games the past 2 weeks. He's been pulling on those sweeps in front of Heike and really just knocking people over. And there's also the rest of the line. Corey Jackson's been playing well, and Chris McKelvey has gone down with an injury, and you've had a couple people step up on the line and fill in nicely.
Sure, we've had probably the best move that we made at line is we moved Dan Chang to center. And even though he's a sophomore, he's really shown the poise of an upperclassman. I mean, he's just done a tremendous job. We're doing well with the ball, the quarterback-center exchange. He's doing a nice job on his blocks. He's very quick, and it really starts. It works its way out from there. Corey and Dave Koslow, two of the few seniors that we have on the offensive line, have been real solid. And then with McKelvey going down, Jeff Michaels had to pick it up at tackle. He's done a great job. And then we've had Eric Greiner and Matty Bargwin doing a real nice job for us at the other tackle. And I think a guy who's been real steady throughout the year has been our tight end, Matt Hertz.
Okay, now we'll turn it over to Martin Leonard, who is the injured co-captain of the Knights. Now, Martin, you started off the season playing excellent. What did it feel like in Council Rock? Obviously, going down with a broken leg, what are your first thoughts as you're being taken off the field?
I really didn't think about it that much at the time. I was just real upset that I had to leave the game. And as I was going out there, it really didn't hurt at all. I was just looking at all the fans and all the people, and just wishing it didn't happen to me. And it really didn't hit me until I got in the ambulance.
Now, you've been on the sideline for North Penn, I guess, the past 2 weeks, which is great to see you on the sideline. How are you trying to kind of uphold your captaincy and motivate this team?
Well, I'm trying to be more of a verbal leader. I wasn't much in the past, but right now I feel I must verbalize as much as I can. And anything to help this team go, we're going to do pretty well.
Now, how are you doing with the injury as far as rehab? What are you doing to get better right now?
Well, right now I'm just doing basic leg lifts to keep my quad in shape. And after about 4 weeks, we're hoping to start rehab. And I'm not quite sure what they have me doing yet, but I'm probably just some basic exercises.
Okay, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Heike, now you've had, for the first 5 weeks of the season, a really remarkable performance. How do you see yourself as kind of stepping up, moving beyond where you were last year, a 1,000-yard season? Are you looking to possibly get 2,000 this year? What are your goals?
Well, my goals this year are basically like to build on what I did last year. I mean, 2,000 would be nice, but that's not like my main focus. My main focus is like more of a team goal, try to move on into the playoffs, basically.
Now, in the Suburban 1 Power 10, there's several elite running backs. Yourself, Brian Scott from CV East, you have Troy Swittenberg from Norristown, and Jim Johnson and John Connor, who we saw last week against Abington. Do you basically read the papers, perhaps, or just look week to week to see how you compare to the other running backs from the Suburban 1 League?
Not really. I mean, I just go out there and I do my job, and if I so happen to be leading those guys in yardage, so be it. I mean, it just really doesn't affect my game or anything.
Now, this week coming up for you guys, you have CB West. There's going to be close to 10,000 people here at Crawford Stadium. How do you see this as your team having to step up to the next level? Because this is the big game of the season.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that we should, I'm pretty sure that we're going to come out strong. We're going to take it just like any other game. And they're a great team, and we just have to come out and play real aggressive and fly the football and make big plays.
Okay, thanks, Heike. Now, Coach, let's talk about this week. Obviously, the matchup with your father, we won't dwell on that for too much, but let's just explain a little bit about what this means to you personally.
I just think it's kind of overplayed personally. I mean, to me, my responsibility is to coach 90-some-odd North Penn High School football players. And just if one of my parents happens to be on the other sideline, I can't get wrapped up into what he's doing. I kind of likened it the other night in the baseball playoffs when the Stottlemeyers were going against each other, and they interviewed the pitcher after the game, and he said, I have the rest of my life to look at my dad and worry about what he's doing. I was worried about getting Yankee hitters out. So that, to me, I'll have my own things to worry about and taking care of business on our sideline. I'm not going to get too wrapped up in what's going on with him and on their sideline. I mean, to me, it's I have to treat it just like we have to prepare and treat it just like any other game, or we're not going to be successful. Okay, let's take a look at the offensive scouting report for CB West. They have a sophomore at quarterback, and their main running back, Chris Ortiz, has been out with a knee injury. Do you look to exploit them using a sophomore quarterback on the defensive side of the football? Well, that's not necessarily something to exploit him. He's played very well. I think anytime you play West, your #1 goal has to be stop the run. They're a power football team. So that's very easy to say. So that has to be our main focus, to stop the run. Then hopefully if we force it, we can get them into some passing situations. Then the fact that he's a 10th grader and maybe hasn't been in a lot of those situations might work to our advantage, but we can't depend on that. I mean, our thing has to be, everybody does their assignment and we make plays and move on from there. You can't get too wrapped up in it too much else.
Now, you went 4-4 on defense for the first part of the season, and you went to a 5-3 sometimes against Abington as they primarily rushed the football. What does it look like on defense today, this week rather, with CB West? Is they can change it up?
Well, anytime you play a team like West, you can't give them one look. If they know what you're going to be in, it's only a matter of time before they'll find their weakness. There is no perfect defense. If there was, everybody would be playing it. So you kind of have to constantly be changing your looks against them, being a 4, being a 5, maybe jumping a 6, blitz some here. You really have to keep them kind of on their toes and keep them guessing as far as what you're going to do. Unless you just have better players than them and you can line up, and that's rarely the case when you play them.
Now, on offense, you guys basically used maybe 4 or 5 basic plays against Abington and ran them into the ground using Heike and Aaron Thomas, among others. Now, the offensive game plan against CB West, they obviously have a decent defense, but where do you look to run the ball or even throw the ball? You only threw 1 pass against Abington. Do you look to change it up a little more, stick to the basics that have been working?
Well, I think anytime, once again, it's also keep them guessing. I don't think you can line up in one basic look against them and let them defend it. I think you have to constantly be changing what you're doing. But at the same token, you don't want to get away with what's gotten you to where you are. So I think our strength, obviously, has been running the football. So I think that's something that we're still going to try to do. But I think to beat a team like West is you have to be balanced offensively. You can't be one-dimensional. So obviously I think we'll have to throw the football as well.
And also sometimes overlooked, obviously not by you, but by some high school football fans, is special teams. Now, your kickoff coverage team did excellent against Abington. And CB West had 3, not necessarily onside kicks, but they recovered their own kickoffs against Neshaminy. How do you see special teams as a factor against the Bucks this week?
Well, there's a lot of football games that the tide gets turned on a big special teams play. So we just have to make sure that we have a lot of young guys on special teams, but that's really their only job. So they're very focused. They do very good at it. And we have to make sure that they maintain that focus in spite of it being a big crowd and an important game. And I think our kickers have been doing well. John Corson's been putting the football well. Wes Heinels, I think, has been kicking extremely well. Kicked a 40-yard field goal against Council Rock. He had a kickoff into the end zone against Abington. Like you said, our coverage teams have been pretty good. So that's something that the bottom line on a kicking play is to make sure that when we're receiving a punt that we maintain possession. That's the biggest thing, and that's something that's been a problem for us. We need to make sure that we field the ball a little bit better on the punt.
Okay, and finally, we know Martin's most likely out for the season. What is the status for the rest of the injured North Penn players? We saw Jeff Craig come back into the lineup, and that's a good sign. Now, as far as Joe Talese and Chris McKelvey and others, how are they recovering?
Chris's knee is it's a little easier to come back as a lineman from a knee injury. So we'll find out probably later this week. There is an outside chance that we'll have him for this game. We don't know that yet. Joe Talese, on the other hand, I would say is very doubtful for this week, because being a quarterback, a skill position player, having to rely on a lot of juking and cutting and things like that, that's a little tougher to come back as quickly. Can't really wear a real heavy brace and still be effective. So I don't think it'll probably be a couple weeks before we'll see Joe again. Mike Yeager's had shoulder problems. You know, he's pretty much day to day, has to wear a harness. You know, so and according to the trainer, that there's an outside chance that if we play on Thanksgiving Day, or we somehow play in December, that we will be able to get Martin back. So that was real positive news.
That is good news. Okay, well, that's going to wrap up our show. I'd like to thank Martin Leonard, Heike Johnson, and Coach Pettine for being with me today. It's the CB West Bucks Friday night at Crawford Stadium at 7:30. Make sure you get there early. There's going to be close to 10,000 people there. That's all the time we have on North Penn Television. I'm Kyle Berger, and I'll see you at the game.
If you were on fire? I don't know. Jump in a tub? No, you gotta stop, drop, and roll.
If your clothes got fire, you gotta drop to the ground. If your clothes got fire, you gotta roll round and round. You just stop, drop, and roll. Get down on the ground and stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll.
What are you gonna take?
Algebra.
Algebra.
Algebra!
If no one's explained how algebra, geometry, and calculus can improve your future, call MACME. We'll tell you.
We know we can count on you to do what Smoky says. Don't play with matches, that's not cool.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
We're back now at Crawford Stadium, where North Penn is shocking the football community by leading CB West at halftime 12-7. Chad, what can you say about this first half?
Wow. I mean, last year at the half, the game was pretty much over, 35-0. And North Penn's winning 12-7. I mean, wow.
This game could quite possibly come down to who has the football last. I mean, 12-7, anybody's ball game at this point. The conditions are torrid down on the field. There was a bit of a rain shower at halftime before the kickoff, which we're about to see, and it just got even more muddy. There's a puddle in between the 45-yard line right in front of the NP at midfield, and play has been, for the most part, at midfield this game. There haven't been many drives deep into each other's territory. North Penn pulling the play of the year, in my opinion, on a halfback option pass on a direct snap, faking the QB sneak to Evan Fitzpatrick from Heike Johnson. That play is going to be an historic play if we get out of this with the North Penn win. Well, the Blue Crew is here going nuts. You see him right there, 12-7, all hyped about this lead by North Penn, 12-7. As John Corson approaches the ball, it's a short kick. It will bounce once, taken by CB West. He's up across the 20, 30, 40. Out to the 45-yard line. A big return by CB West. That was Dave Edwards. North Penn special teams have played well so far tonight, but giving up a 25 or 30-yard return right there gives CB West excellent field position to start the second half and gives them a good chance to set the tone for the rest of this ball game. Ball is at the the CB West 45-yard line. They're in that slop in midfield right now. Hanging on to the football will be important to both of these teams for the rest of the ball game. You can see at the top of your screen the rain is continuing to fall. It's picking up a little bit here. Not a mist anymore. This is a shower. Here's Pettine up the middle. Look at him go. Oh my. Bowling over the North Penn pile. Getting a big rise out of the CB West crowd on the far side of the stadium. It'll be second and less than a yard after a 9-yard pickup by Dustin Pettine. just underway in the second half. First half was a beauty here at Crawford Stadium. North Penn getting 2 unorthodox touchdowns, one coming on a 65-yard fumble return by Phil Chang's younger brother, Dan Chang. I spoke to Phil at the half. He's going crazy. Class of 96 from North Penn. Phil was on the last team to beat CB West here from North Penn. Here's Dustin Picciotti getting past Mike Kapusta and picking up a first down and a 7-yard gain. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. Ball at North Penn's 42-yard line. North Penn's defense wanting to get away from this opening drive with a defensive stop. They don't want to get CB West any momentum by letting them get on the board.
If CB West gets any momentum at all, we could see this game just start to roll away from North Penn.
Backs in the I formation, Picciotti and Edwards. It's quick up the middle to Picciotti. He falls forward for about a 4-yard gain where it will be 2nd and 6. Look at some of the first half stats. These are stats from the first half only. We have not calculated the first couple minutes here by CB West. Heike Johnson, 10 carries for just 39 yards, but he more than made up for that with that big touchdown pass to Evan Fitzpatrick. Clay Kucklick, 3 for 5, throwing for 25 yards. Dan Chang had that 65-yard fumble return for a touchdown. Aaron Thomas, 2 carries for 31 yards. Mike Kapusta, a surprising 4 carries for 29 yards. Picciotti coming into this half has 74 yards on 16 carries. Dave Edwards, 59 yards on 7 carries. Here's Dave Edwards, stuffed in the backfield by Dave Koslow. Big stop by the senior captain of the Knights. Dave Koslow kind of taking this game a little personally against Ben Carber, who he's lined up opposite up for several of these plays. Carber, one of the tackles on CB West team. The two were teammates in 8th grade at Penfield Middle School on their football team. Chad, you and I played against them. They were a very dominant team. But Ben Carber moved to CB West, and he has been playing football there for the past 4 years, including this season. And they're going at it tonight in the trenches. Here's a handoff up the middle to Picciotti. He does not get the first down. He's 3 yards short. Once again, 4-down territory for CB West. They're going to go for it. They have not punted yet. This will be actually closer to 4th and 4 for CB West.
I won't be surprised maybe in the 4th quarter if Jeremy came in against his brother.
Jeremy Carver, yes. Well, I think CB West is bringing in the punt team, but the way this game has been, you never know if it's going to be a fake or not. The Knights will send Aaron Thomas back inside his 10-yard line to receive. Back to punt for CB West. Here's the pooch punt. It's high. Thomas calls for a fair catch. That's not a good punt at all. Chad, that might have been a 10-yard punt.
I think it took a North Penn roll. When it hit the ground, it didn't bounce. It rolled backwards in the mud.
That was Justin McDonald, the punter, number 43, as Coach Pettine looks on organizing the offense for their first drive. So North Penn's defense comes up with a stop and really doesn't lose any field position after that punt. They only gave up maybe 10 yards on that play, on that punt. So not a good punt at all by CB West, Justin McDonald. North Penn takes over 1st and 10 on their own 21-yard line. They lead by 5, 12-7, just underway in the second half. CB West defensive line shifts. Here goes off tackle Heike Johnson, met at the line of scrimmage and sent back by Brian Buckley, among others from CB West.
That's one thing I have seen the CB West linebackers doing is if Kapusta or whoever the wingback is goes in motion, they always have a linebacker staying right with them.
2-yard pickup on that carry by Johnson. 2nd and 8 for North Penn at the 23-yard line. North Penn keeping their formation tight. Johnson and Kapusta in an open set. Here's Heike up the middle. Pickup of maybe 3 or 4 yards. 3rd and about 3 for North Penn. Ball will be at their 30-yard line, just inside the 30-yard line. Well, Chad, we might see North Penn has used this play before. They run a bootleg with Clay Kucklick. They scored a touchdown against Abington last week. We'll see if they go with that here. I don't think we'll be seeing a halfback pass. Well, they're lined up tight, indicating that they might run it up the middle. We'll see if they go outside. Well, here's the bootleg by Kucklick. He gets free and gets the first down for North Penn. Good call by Coach Pettine. I had a feeling he was going to go with that bootleg, and he did. 1st and 10, North Penn. Big play for the Knights.
I was thinking maybe if they went twins right or twins left, they could have run that stand-up past the high kick.
1st and 10 for the Knights. 7:06 and counting on the clock here at Crawford Stadium in the 3rd quarter. North Penn will be content to run down as much time as they can in this half. I have a feeling these last 24 minutes, the second half of 24 minutes, will be probably 24 of the longest minutes Coach Mike Pettine from North Penn's life. Kucklick will hand off tackle to Johnson. He cuts up, gets a couple yards, slides forward for a 3-yard gain. 2nd and 7 for North Penn at their own 39-yard line.
That shot of high key gives you a clue of just how muddy the field really is. I mean, you can see the dirt showing up on their dark navy uniforms.
You got to feel sorry for whoever's picking up the laundry bill for North Penn. Extra detergent this weekend. Whole lot of stain stick as well. Just shy of the halfway point here in the 3rd quarter. 2nd and 5 for the Knights at the 38-yard line. Fitzpatrick is split out to the left side of the line, lined up in double coverage. Kucklick with the long count. They'll sweep it left to Johnson. He's met in the backfield and dropped for a loss by Dustin Picciotti. Mike Kapusta didn't get out quick enough for that block, and Johnson was met in the backfield by Picciotti. It's a loss of maybe about a half a yard. It'll be 3rd and 5, a long 5 for North Penn. Another tough play call here for Coach Pettine.
Chadd on that play must have ran up and down that line 3 times trying to think which side they were going to run to, and I guess he guessed right.
North Penn with another tight formation. It's going to go to Mike Landis. They tried to go with a little reverse sweep. Landis didn't get anywhere on that play. The blocking just wasn't there. North Penn will be forced to punt. Tough break for the Knights, but the key here is to get a good snap out of Dave Messerschmidt. And as soon as North Penn picked up possession in this half, first thing I saw on the sideline was Dave Messerschmidt practicing his snaps. Here's a good snap by Messerschmidt. Kick is away. It's a high spiral by Corson. Taken at the 45 by DiGiacomo, met with a big hit by Dan Chang at the 48-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Bucks, just inside the 50-yard line.
Dan Chang's picking it up big time for the North Penn special teams.
That's a big stick by Chang. So once again, the ball will be spotted in the muck and mire at midfield. 4:28 is where the clock is frozen at Crawford Stadium. 12-7 on the scoreboard, favor North Penn. Mike Oriole coming in with the play call for the Bucks, fresh from the sideline. Bucks go double tight end. Here goes DiGiacomo. Ball is loose, but CB West falls right back on it. Ball popped out for a split second as DiGiacomo was falling down. 3-yard pickup on the play, 2nd and 7 for the Bucks.
Both teams look like they're just trying to eat up the clock, maybe try and come down and score on their last drive in the 4th quarter instead of having to battle it out.
Yeah, we won't be seeing many passes for the remainder of this game unless it gets down to a point where a team is in a desperate attempt to get some points on the board, running a 2-minute drill late in the game. Oriole hands off to DiGiacomo again. Oh, look at him go. He's got one man to beat. It's Johnson. Can he catch him? Yes, Johnson wraps him up and drags him out of bounds. Big gain of close to 40 yards by DiGiacomo as the rain is picking up here at Crawford Stadium. It's a downpour out there right now. 40-yard pickup by DiGiacomo inside the 10-yard line of North Penn. First and goal for the Bucks. There's a big play that North Penn can't afford to give up many more of.
That was the first big play I've seen North Penn give up so far this year.
Well, yeah, they had that one play in the first part of this game when we saw Dave Edwards go 40 yards and another 40-yard run by CB West. Let's take a look at this run by Phil DiGiacomo. And here's the offensive line for CB West doing its magic. He gets through a maze of North Penn players. That's good acceleration. Mikey Johnson might have gotten away with a face mask there at the end of the play, but it doesn't matter. CB West has 1st and 10 at the 10-yard line of North Penn. If North Penn can hold CB West to a field goal here, although I wouldn't imagine they'd go for a field goal, that would be almost a moral victory for the Knights. They can come away from this series with still holding the lead. That'll give them the upper hand in this ball game. So we said the weather wasn't going to be too much of a factor in the first half, and it really wasn't. The conditions were a factor, but the actual rain was not a big factor, just the wet conditions on the field. Now you'll see the rain start to affect the players. On a pass play, quarterback's going to be rolling out. A receiver will be looking up. He'll be looking up right into the rain, and it's hard to focus on the ball. It's going to be a running game on the ground for the rest of this ball game if this rain persists. CB West can get a first down. It is just outside the 10-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. The give is to Picciotti. He's rolling. He's rumbling. He's inside the 5-yard line down to the 3. As the umbrellas pop up at Crawford Stadium here, this is the hardest it has rained all night.
Now, I doubt this will happen, but CB West can get another first down inside the 10. I mean, if they get down to like the 1-yard line, the nose of the ball is almost on the goal line, they might be able to get the first down.
Something tells me I don't think the Blue Crew cares that this is a virtual hurricane here at Crawford Stadium. Crowd making some noise. 2nd and 2 from the 3-yard line. Here goes Picciotti. Touchdown Bucks. He's into the end zone. CB West is into the lead, 13-12. As a cloud has fallen over Crawford Stadium here, North Penn trying to stay in this ball game in this monsoon, 13-12. We might see the Bucks go for 2 here, not risking a kick. They're up by 1, so you would imagine that they would go for 2. But they do have their kicker on for the extra point. Out to kick is number 63, Bob Tumolty. Ball is loose. It was a bad spot. They're going to go try to pass it in the end zone. It's lofted up there. Aaron Thomas playing center field makes the catch. He can't return it. So failed conversion. It's a 1-point lead for CB West. Let's take a look at this touchdown run by Picciotti. Great job by number 33. Well, that's the end of it. He had a great job right there staying on his feet in these slippery conditions, and he busted into the end zone for the touchdown. But you saw in that extra point there, Chad, that rain was messing with the holder right there. You see it on the track here at Crawford Stadium. Bill Stone was the holder. That ball went right through his hands. It was a good snap. He just couldn't find the handle on it and threw a desperation pass into the end zone to make it exciting. But a failed conversion, and it is 13-12 here at Crawford Stadium.
Well, the refs have towels. They've been trying to dry the balls off, even been trying to use some dry balls. I think North Penn's been keeping them in some bags, but I don't think it's going to matter.
I don't know, Chad. I'm having flashbacks to last Monday night at Kansas City. If any of you out there watched the football game at Kansas City, they actually had to delay the game because of rain. I don't think that'll happen because there's no lightning. But it was to the point where at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, there was water pouring down the aisles of the stadium. I had never seen anything like that. And they actually had a 1-hour delay, but managed to finish the game. I wouldn't expect this game to be delayed. This isn't a thunderstorm moving through, just a hurricane, basically. 2:46 on the clock in the 3rd quarter. This is where special teams are important. You will not be seeing a big kick by Tumolty. North Penn's kick returners will probably be cheating up a couple yards here. The key here is not getting yardage on this kick return. It's holding on to the football. Johnson is the deep man for North Penn. Tumolty will approach the football and kick off. It's a low-line drive taken on a couple bounces by Landis. He's having all sorts of trouble. He manages to make something out of nothing, picks up about 5 or 10 yards, and gets out close to the 25-yard line, maybe past it. 1st and 10, North Penn, 2:34 to go in the third quarter. They trail by 1. We're going to try our best to get the yardage spotted for the ball to the best of our ability. All the lines on the field are basically washed out right now. We'll try to estimate as much as we can. Both crowds, both the West crowd and the North Penn crowd, are really making some noise here. This is football weather, to say the least. Ball is on the 28-yard line, and North Penn backs in the I formation. As the rain has lessened here, now that North Penn has taken over. Johnson slips in the backfield, and he's stuffed. He'll lose about 2 yards on that play. It'll be 2nd and 12. That play was doomed from the start, Chad. You saw Johnson slip up on his first step, and he could never recover from there.
If you slip on your first step, you're going to have no acceleration coming through the line.
Let's take a look at it and see if we can pick up Heike Johnson's first step. Yeah, right there, you saw him almost fall over, which would have been really devastating. Clay Kucklick would have gotten mauled on that play. Did manage to get the handoff away. It is 2nd and 12 for North Penn. Fitzpatrick split to the left side. Johnson and Kapusta lined up in the I formation. Kucklick under center for the Knights. He's got to go quick up the middle to Kapusta. He manages to move the pile, but not much. He'll pick up 3 yards where it will be 3rd and 9 for North Penn. They trail by 1. North Penn may be content to just punt here, Chad. Not wanting to run a risky play, although they're bringing in Aaron Thomas, who's been their big play man this season. Coach Pettine talking to him on the sideline, trying to tell him maybe if he's getting the ball, hey, just hang on to the football. I don't care if you get the first down. We need to at least get a punt off here.
Well, the rain is letting up a little. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe they'll go to the air.
Clay Kucklick, just a junior, playing in his 3rd game as a varsity quarterback. This is going to be one of the biggest games of his career. We'll see how he goes with it. Oh, he fumbles the snap. Ball is loose. Waiting for a signal. The West players showing that they have possession. No, North Penn does have it. The West sideline had an uproar thinking they had the football, but the wet ball strikes again. North Penn forced to punt. A good defensive stand by CB West, although you could kind of thank Mother Nature for that defensive stop. Let's take a look at that fumbled snap real quickly. And yeah, right off the start, it looked like Kucklick might have fallen on it. John Corson into punt. Another key long snap here by Dave Messerschmidt. It's a wobbler. It gets back. End over end punt. Takes a North Penn bounce. Oh, this is going to be lovely for the Knights. It'll go out to the 21-yard line. That's a 40-yard punt by John Corson. 6 seconds to go in the third quarter. You saw that was short enough that CB West couldn't catch up with it. They let it bounce. It was the right thing to do by CB West. They gambled and they got burnt. Good North Penn bounce. Deep into CB West territory. CB West will take over for probably just one play here in the third quarter remaining. They have the ball on their own 21-yard line. As the rain is picking up once again here at Crawford Stadium. Cheerleaders on the sideline wearing their ponchos. They're roughing it out here. Gotta love that. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. They lead by 1, 13-12. Ball on their own 21-yard line. Here's the handoff. It goes to DiGiacomo, who has been a surprise for the Bucks. He'll pick up 6 or 7 yards, and that'll do it for the third quarter. We will be back with the final 12 minutes from Crawford Stadium. North Penn trailing by 1. CB West leads 13-12 as the father now has the upper hand in a Pettine battle. Back after this on North Penn Television.
If you took away a star for every 1 million people who didn't vote, and a stripe for every 5 million non-voters, and a patch of blue for the 10 million people who didn't care. Exactly what kind of flag are we waving?
Cool rule about fire safety.
To report a fire, always go to a neighbor's house and call 911 or your local emergency number.
Have another cool rule about fire safety. If you're in a fire, don't take time to save your toys or pets. Can you remember that?
Welcome back to a soaked and packed Crawford Stadium here at the start of the fourth quarter. CB West and Father Mike Pettine Sr. ahead of North Penn and son Mike Pettine Jr. by the slimmest of margins, 13-12 here at Crawford Stadium in the middle of a veritable monsoon. We're set here in the final quarter of action here at Crawford Stadium unless there should be overtime. CB West has the ball on their own 28-yard line, 2nd and 3, backs in the I formation. Picciotti and DiGiacomo. Handoff goes to Picciotti. He gets maybe 1.5 yards. He'll be short of the first down. At this point, I'd like to welcome to the show the principal of North Penn High School, Dr. Vincent Cotter. Welcome to the show. So far, a great game. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Couldn't ask for anything more. The student body's been psyched. I've been down with them most of the game, and they're just on a border of out of control. So.
And, I mean, you saw the 2 touchdowns North Penn had were probably 2 of the most exciting plays I've ever seen. This crowd is just going nuts, and they don't care if it's raining. They don't care if there's a hurricane. They're going to be here supporting North Penn.
I don't think anybody left. They're going to stay here to the wire, and this is what they've been looking for all week and maybe all year. It's been great.
Here's a 3rd and 1 for CB West. It goes to Picciotti. He gets outside, and he does get the first down. It will be 1st and 10 Bucks. Of course, last year, Dr. Cotter, we saw a pretty much a blowout in the first half. 35-0. CB West was up at halftime. Final score was 35-14. North Penn was in the lead at halftime. Were you even expecting something like that?
Well, you know, when I came to the stadium, you know, I had that in the back of my mind last year's game, and I know how hard the guys worked, and I said, gee, I really want them to do well. You know, you just never know. And when he came out and took the first series right down the field, I said, you know, we're going to be in this game for the long run. They kind of took it right to CB West, and it felt real good for them.
1st and 10 for the Bucks. Ball on the 35-yard line. Backs in the I formation. Oriole still at quarterback for the Bucks. Handoff up the middle of Picciotti. He's tripped up at the line of scrimmage by Mike Kapusta and Mike Moore after a pickup of 1 or 2 yards. You got to expect a great finish in this game. The conditions are, you have to say, football weather.
Yeah,
and,
but you know, Kyle, it's just amazing. I mean, you know, with high key, anything's possible. He can break a game anytime, any place, and that's what makes it so exciting. You just wait and watch, and anything can happen any moment, and I think we're in it. We got a chance to pull it out.
Either on the ground or through the air, we've seen.
Absolutely.
2nd and 9 for CB West. On their own 36-yard line, 10 minutes to go in the ball game. Oriole hands up to Picciotti, and he's drilled in the backfield. Good tackle by Mike Moore, wrapping him up after just a 1-yard gain. Dr. Cotter, thanks for being with us here. And any prediction for the rest of the ball game before we let you go?
We're going to pull it out.
All right, you
Thanks,
heard it here
Kyle.
first.
Take care.
Thanks, Dr. Cotter. North Penn, in the eyes of Dr. Cotter, has a chance to come back in this one. We hope they can as well. 9.5 to go here in the fourth quarter. 3rd and 8 for CB West. North Penn will have great field position if they can hold CB West and get a punt from the Bucks.
That was a great job by Dan Chang on that last play, cutting Piccinotti's legs out.
3rd and 8 for the Bucks. Backs in the I formation. Motion by the Bucks. DiGiacomo comes back to fullback. He is wrapped in the backfield by Brooks Spirio, still spinning, and finally dropped for a maybe half-yard gain. 4th and 7 now for CB West. No doubt about it, they're going to punt. 3 great plays by North Penn's defense.
North Penn defense has been coming up big this whole drive, just trying to shut down CB West. Maybe they can get the ball back, come back, score, get the 2-point conversion, and win the game. Who knows? Well,
Justin McDonald on to punt for CB West. He had a 10-yard punt last time. Mikey Johnson not giving him much respect. He's only about 25 yards deep. Ball is loose. It's blocked. That's a live football. Who's going to fall on it? North Penn football. 1st and 10 inside the 20-yard line. That is a huge play. Crowd is on their feet here at Crawford Stadium. I didn't see who picked up the block. This is unbelievable. This is just, in my opinion, the greatest game I have ever seen at any level of football, the most excitement you'll ever see. Let's take a look at that punt if we have it on replay. Bad snap. Aaron Thomas almost blocks it, and oh my, that punter got buried. Looked like Jeff Craig, number 66. Great play by Jeff Craig. He comes up with a punt block, and North Penn takes over at the 16-yard line of CB West, trailing by 1, 8:22 in the ball game. Backs in the I formation, Kapusta and Johnson. Kucklick at center. Motion to the near side. Give us to Johnson, off tackle, doesn't get much, maybe a yard or two. We saw last year, Chad, CB West capitalized on North Penn fumbles. North Penn has to capitalize on these CB West turnovers.
Looks like North Penn's getting lucky. The rain's letting up.
It seems every time North Penn gets possession, the rain's let up. And now CB West, of course, they were in a driving rain for the past 2 drives that they've had the football.
But on that punt block, I was surprised to see Jeff Craig hit the punter the way he did, especially after he collided with Jared Gamble in the Council rocking him and hurt his neck.
Yeah, there's no tentativeness by Jeff Craig. Coach is on the sideline calling for a timeout. North Penn's not getting it. They might have the wrong formation in there. I'm not sure. Well, Kucklick's going to go ahead and run the play. It's an inside reverse to Colinello. He's still on his feet. Picks up maybe 2 yards. Second, maybe 3rd and 5 for North Penn. More like a 3rd and 6 from the 12-yard line. This is going to be a tough play call for North Penn. I really don't know if they'll come in to kick a field goal here. It looks like where the ball will be spotted, if the North Penn Knights do not get any more yardage here, ball will be spotted just about on the 20-yard line, and there's no grass there right now. It's all mud. It's going to be really hard. Of course, they do have the block to put the ball on in high school football for place kicking. It's going to be real hard to get a kickoff in this kind of weather.
The center of the field from about the 40 into the end zone is all mud.
Well, North Penn's going to go with 4 wide receivers here. Shotgun formation, Clay Kucklick. High snap, Kucklick fields it. He's got plenty of time. Double pumps, and he got drilled. Indecisiveness by Clay Kucklick costs him possibly a first down as Brian Buckley drops the hammer on Kucklick. Well, they're going to go for the field goal. This is unbelievable. Wes Heinel, one of the better kickers in Suburban 1 football, is on to kick probably what will be the toughest field goal of his career so far.
It's a gutsy call by Pettine. I don't know if I would have called this, especially with the way the ground is. He may not be able to plant his foot the right way.
It's a 29-yard field goal attempt. The Knights field goal team is on. Clay Kucklick has to get a good spot for Wes Heinel. Heinel is set. This could be the biggest play of the ball game thus far. Ball is spotted. Oh, no, it's not. Ball is loose. Kucklick scrambling. He's hammered. This is unbelievable. This weather is wreaking havoc with the players as all these guys are just covered in mud. Kucklick just could not hang on to the football. He has a face full of dirt. You can see him right there in the center of your screen. He appears to be a little shaken up. Nothing Heinel can do about that. It was a good snap as well. Same exact thing happened to CB West on that extra point attempt.
The reason Kucklick might be all fuzzy in the head right now is he got mauled by 3 of the CB West players.
He sure did. That holder is fair game once the ball is dropped. And man, CB West just leveled Clay Kucklick. Now the defense has to take over. They've taken over so far this season when North Penn needed them to. 13-12, the Knights trail by 1. Bucks line up in their offensive formation. Oriole hands off to Pichotti. He'll get about 3 or 4 yards out to the 39-yard line of the Bucks. It'll be 2nd and 5 for CB West. We have reached the halfway point of the fourth quarter. 6 minutes to go in the ball game as the Marching Knights are going crazy.
If we get down to around the 2-minute warning, I wouldn't be surprised maybe if Pettine put in Chris McKelvey up front as a nose guard just to get a bigger body on the defensive line.
That's a very good point, Chad. We might see that. Oriole hands off to Pettine. He loses his footing. He gets a really good spot on that. It looked like he went on his knees for about 2 yards. They gave him a little bit of extra yardage. He's close to a first down. They're going to measure. I really don't think he has it. It looks like he's got to get a lot closer to that 39-yard line. So it'll probably be another short yardage situation for CB West, which we've seen a lot of so far tonight.
And as you predicted, Kyle, the NP on the field is gone.
There is no NP on Crawford Stadium's field right now. This time CB West is short by about 6 inches. You see the ref telling us how far they have to go. CB West has about a length of the football to get. 5.5 to go here in the fourth quarter. North Penn trails by 1. Both teams have, no, I'm sorry, North Penn has 2 timeouts. CB West has all 3 of their timeouts. 13-12 is the score. Clock rolling now under 5.5. 3rd and 1 from the 44. Give us to Pettine. And he has the first down and 3 more yards to boot. Out to the 48-yard line of CB West, where it will be 1st and 10 for the Bucks. What can you say? Pettine's the go-to guy when it gets to be a battle of the trenches.
I'm somewhat disappointed by the North Penn coaches not putting an 11-man front in the box.
Yeah, well, CB West has so many plays up their sleeve. We haven't had a chance to see any trick plays tonight from CB West. But you can't give them an opportunity to hurt you in any aspect of the field. You have to stay honest. And that's one thing we heard Coach Pettine talk about at halftime on Coach's Corner. You have to keep honest on defense or CB West is going to burn you. Here's Pettine. He's rumbling and bumbling down to the 46-yard line of North Penn. Pickup of close to 6 yards. North Penn's got to start chopping him down at the line of scrimmage. Clock continuing to run now. The clock is on the side of CB West. 4.5 to go in the ball game. 13-12 is the score. CB West with 3 men in the backfield. Here's Pettine once again. This time he only gets about 2 yards. It'll be 3rd and about 3 at the 45-yard line. North Penn coach is calling for a timeout, and they do get it. Clock is stopped at 4:11 here to go in the ball game. CB West up 13-12. This game has been nothing short of spectacular. You couldn't ask for a better ball game. It really, to me, it doesn't matter who wins this game. If it's father against son, if it's CB West against North Penn, if it's 5-0 against 5-0, number 1 against number 4, what have you. This has been a classic. This one will go down in history, one of the greatest high school games I've ever seen.
Well, North Penn's only down by 1 point with 4:11 left.
CB West with a 3rd and 2, of course. If North Penn can come away with possession, if they can stop CB West, I would imagine CB West would punt if they don't get this first down here with the ball at midfield. They would just try to drill North Penn back deep into their own territory. They only have that 1-point lead. And we could see another fumble here. I mean, the way this weather has been, you don't know what to expect. And the type of plays we've seen, you don't know what to expect from the coaches as to what they're bringing into this ball game. I mean, the direct snap to Heike Johnson for the touchdown is the biggest play on in this ball game. As the Knights on the sideline of North Penn, getting this crowd pumped up, trying to rile up the North Penn's defense. This is a big defensive stand for the Knights. 3rd and 2 from the 45-yard line. The crowd here is deafening at Crawford Stadium. They are on their feet. CB West comes to the line. It's a battle of the trenches right now. Give comes to Pettine. He slashes forward on the spot. I think he will have the first down. Tripped up at the line of scrimmage, but managed to fall through the air about 2 yards. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. The Knights can't come up with a defensive stand. And there are now 4 minutes to go in the ball game. 1st and 10 for the Bucks.
Pettine get another really good spot up by the officials. If you look where he started to slide, his knee went down, but I don't know what the refs are looking at.
Yeah, these players are hydroplaning for several yards after they hit the ground. It is so slippery out there, although there has been virtually no action on the left half of this field tonight. Here's Oriel on the keeper. He's got blockers, and he's got 5 yards for the Bucks. It'll be 2nd and 5 as he's knocked out of bounds at the 37-yard line of the Knights. Good coverage on the outside by North Penn's linebackers, making sure Oriel doesn't turn that corner and pick up more than those 5 yards. Rain picking up just a little bit. It had subsided as possession changed, but here it is, 2nd and 5 for the Bucks. Goes to Pettine. He's stopped at the line of scrimmage. Falls forward once again for a couple yards, maybe just one. 3rd and 4 for the Bucks. North Penn has a little more breathing room on defense here. They're probably going to have to stop CB West twice, though, as this appears to be 4-down territory for the Bucks.
Like we've been saying the whole time, Pettine has been their go-to guy inside with short distance. I mean, it's only 3rd down. They get another 2, you know they're going to go for it.
2.5 to go in the ball game. Clock running. Crowd rising to their feet once again, cheering on the Knights defense. Here goes Pettine. He rumbles forward, yet another 1st down. This kid is incredible. He is for real, Dustin Pettine. An incredible game by the senior.
Well, now we can see why everybody's comparing him to Dave Armstrong.
Correction, Pettine is a junior. I thought he was a senior. 1st and 10 for the Bucks at the North Penn 31-yard line. Clock is not on North Penn's side. They need a turnover here. They need to go for the ball. They need to strip this football and get possession back.
They need to do something. They just need some major motivation right now.
First and 10 for the Bucks. Flag on the play. Whistles fly all over the place. It might be a procedure penalty against the Bucks. Good thing for the Knights is that stops the clock. It's a dead ball offsides on North. Oh no, it's offsides on CB West. They had a guy lined up in the neutral zone. Usually you see the official give the false start signal for a play such as that, and that offside signal for a defensive foul. But 5-yard penalty against CB West will be 1st and 15, giving North Penn a little bit of breathing room. Ball be at the 35-yard line of North Penn. Anything that can help the Knights, they will need. Clock is stopped. 1:53 to go in the ball game. 13-12 is the score here at a muddy Crawford Stadium. Here goes Pettine off right tackle. Dives forward for about 4 yards. It'll be 2nd and 11 for the Bucks. North Penn coaches calling for a timeout, stopping the clock with 1:43. 2nd and 11. They're charging this timeout to CB West. The official was just mistaken. He had signaled it was a CB West timeout. It was a North Penn timeout. Stopping the clock with a $1:43 to go here at Crawford Stadium. This promises to be a nail-biting finish as CB West is holding on to a 13-12 lead.
Who knows, maybe if North Penn ever gets the ball back, if they stop this drive, they do something. They can go back to their passing game.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, we've seen fumbled snaps galore here tonight, and that could quite possibly happen for CB West. They've had clean exchanges between their quarterback and their center. Oriel has played pretty much a flawless game at quarterback. I'm really impressed by the sophomore, first sophomore quarterback in school history to start, and he has done an admirable job tonight in these tough conditions. Jeff Miskey is the center, and he has done a good job tonight, both clearing holes and getting the exchange. that North Penn has been plagued with early in the season. But they had changed centers, and now Dan Chang is in. There's only been one fumbled snap since Chang has taken over at center for North Penn. 2nd and 11 for CB West at the North Penn 32-yard line. A turnover or a stop is what North Penn needs right now. And chances are it's just going to fall into the hands of Dustin Picciotti for the rest of this ball game. Oriole at quarterback. Hands off to Picciotti. He is wrapped in the backfield. Dave Koslow brings him down. North Penn needs to call timeout. And that is their last timeout. What a play by Dave Koslow. That's why he's going to Penn State.
Koslow on that play just ran over John Wilson. There was nothing number 89 Wilson could have done on that. Koslow looked like he was about a yard behind the ball and just got a running start and plowed him.
Well, that gets back to big-time players making big-time plays at big times. Dave Koslow with the game on the line. The captain of the Knights at defensive end busts through the line, does a great job of forcing Picciotti inside, and then just basically suplexing him down to the turf. He got behind him and just kind of hoisted him up in the air and drug him down, and that's a good play by Koslow, showing his strength. With Picciotti, who goes about 235 pounds. Koslow matches him pound for pound, although Picciotti appears to be a little bit broader than Koslow. Good strength by Dave, bringing him down, and it will be 3rd and 13 for North Penn. Evan Fitzpatrick on the sideline for North Penn, running a little bit of some wind sprints, trying to stay in this ball game, knowing that he will most likely have the chance to come back in this game if North Penn can hold the Bucks on this possession, making sure he can get his footing right, because it will probably wind up being a 2-minute drill for North Penn out of the shotgun. Crowd on their feet at Crawford Stadium. 3rd and 13 for the Bucks. This place is going nuts. It goes to Picciotti. He gets about 7 yards, but he's well short of the first down. It'll be 4th and 6 for the Bucks. They're going to go for it. This will be the biggest play of the ball game. If North Penn doesn't hold him here, this ball game is over. Quite simply, this is the ball game. 4th and 7 for the Bucks. We'll call it 6. 4th and 6 from the 26-yard line. Clock running. 1 minute, 5 seconds to go. CB West in no hurry to get this play in. They do have to worry about the delay of game. They have to be running out of time on the play clock. Not even at the ball yet. Now they'll approach the football. 50 seconds to go. Crowd on their feet still at Crawford Stadium. It's a pitch. It goes to DJ Acomo. He gets the corner. Is he knocked out of bounds? I'm not sure if it's in front of the first down or not. We'll see where they spot it. It is awfully close. Clock stopped in 41 seconds. It's 1st and 10 for North Penn. He didn't get it. So North Penn's offense will take over. Good job of knocking out Phil DiGiacomo before he can come into play. Clay Kucklick's a gamer. He's toweling off in front of Coach Pettine. Just look at his helmet. It's covered with half the field at Crawford Stadium. He's been in the mud today, but he has played an excellent game so far for the Knights. 41 seconds, no timeouts. North Penn trails by 1 point. You figure they're going to have to try to punch it in. They're not going to be able to kick a field goal in these conditions, but you never know. They're going to go shotgun with 4 wide receivers. Kucklick at quarterback. Bucks in cover 2. That middle of the field is wide open. Here's a slant. Oh, it's knocked down. Good play by number 76, Joe Wilson, the 6'4" defensive tackle. They sure had that quick slant to Fitzpatrick wide open over the middle.
Fitzpatrick was so open, and he had nobody around him within 10 yards. If he could have turned that up the middle, he had 2 blockers on the safeties. He could have just taken off.
Yeah, Joe Wilson showing why he's a Division I prospect. He just got his arm up in front of that pass and swatted it down. It's a crucial play because that's probably 15, 20 yards the other way for North Penn if Kucklick can complete that pass. North Penn will stick with that shotgun formation. 37 seconds on the clock. 2nd and 10. Here's Kucklick. He's hit as he throws. Incomplete. No, it's picked off. That'll be the ball game. CB West comes up with a big pickoff. Coach Pettine visibly frustrated on the sideline. Aaron Thomas went up to catch it, and it went through his hands. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. Looks like Coach Pettine Sr. is going to come away with his second straight victory against his son. Tough break for the Knights. They played their hearts out tonight. Here's a replay. Aaron Thomas just ran like a little 5-yard delay pattern, and it was picked off. That was Phil DiGiacomo, who, this is ironic, he doesn't get the first down for CB West, turning the ball over to North Penn. He comes back and picks up the ball for CB West. You would imagine they're just going to kneel out on this ball game. They probably won't run up the middle, risking a fumble. Yeah, CB West in that kneel-down formation, they're not going to risk anything. Oriole will take a knee, and that will do it. Oriole throws up his arms in triumph. That will do it for this ball game. This one's over at Crawford Stadium as this play clock. There's not enough time left on the clock for the Knights. There's 15 seconds left in this ball game. West does not have to run another play as their crowd starts chanting CB West. They have once again proved that they are at the top of the Suburban 1 Power 10. But you got to hand it to North Penn, Chad. A heck of a game tonight. They gave them 48 minutes of great football.
This is one of the best football games I've seen yet this year out of North Penn. They came out trying to beat CB West. They had them for a little while and just slipped away. Coach Pettine Jr. coming out surprising his dad with that little high-key Johnson pass over the middle of Fitzpatrick for a touchdown. And I don't know how they're going to write up that Dan Chang fumble return for a touchdown.
Well, those were two of the most exciting touchdowns I've ever seen in high school football. And you can rest assured this could quite possibly be a preview of the District 1 football final. These two teams could very well meet again before this season's over in the District 1 championship game. Well, your final score here at Crawford Stadium is 13-12 as Coach Pettine walks off the sideline a bit dejected. We will have an exclusive interview with him when we come back from this break and a final thought. So stay with us here on North Penn Television. We'll be back after this.
What would you do if you had to choose between the buffalo and the giraffes? Between a flower or an elephant? What would you choose? What if you had to decide between a 100-year-old tree and a 1,000,000-year-old beach? Between drinking clean water or breathing clean air? Would you make the right choice? Would there be a right choice? Now there's a way to help. Not just one, but all these things. EarthShare, the world's leading environmental groups working together. It's one choice we can all live with. Ask your employer about workplace giving.
You do if you want a fire.
Stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll. You gotta stop, drop, and roll.
Welcome back to Crawford Stadium, a 13-12 win as Coach Pettine greets his mother. We'll have him in a few moments. Just hang on 1 second. Chad, let's look at some of the final stats for today's game.
Hakeem Johnson, 16 carries with 50 yards. Kucklick with 2 for 6 with 25 yards, and total yards North Penn 178.
Okay, we'll have the CB West stats after this interview with Coach Pettine. Coach Pettine, can you hear me down there?
We didn't score enough points. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, Coach. What do you say about tonight's game? Obviously a lot closer than last year. Your kids played their hearts out tonight.
Sure, it was just a game of breaks. We just couldn't capitalize on some breaks at the end. They gave us the ball deep in their territory. We couldn't get any points out of it. It's going to come back to a couple plays that are going to haunt us forever. But as I told the kids after the game, that we got to come back and redouble our efforts. The only way to redeem this loss is to run the table and get another shot at these guys. So that's basically the attitude we have to take. As much as it hurts, we still have a team waiting to play us next Friday night.
Obviously, no matter the outcome of this game, it's going to be an emotional turnout for you. What are your feelings on this game? Obviously, with your father on the other sideline, we were kind of downplaying it this week, but we got a feel for that.
It's very downplayed. I'm at this point where I'm just, I feel bad for my kids. They gave great effort. We came up short. We executed a game plan, and we caught some breaks. People are going to say the weather was a factor, but hey, they had to play in it too, and it's a tribute to them. They have an all-weather offense, so it's just something that I'm not real wrapped up in the fact that it was my father. I'm just more, my feelings now, my thoughts are now more with my kids.
Okay, Coach Pettine, thanks a lot. Best of luck to you the rest of this season.
Sure, thanks, Kyle.
Well, Chad, let's take a look at some of the CB West stats before we get out of here.
Dustin Picciotti, 37 carries, 152 yards. Oriole went 1 for 4 for 7 yards. And the total for CB West was 267 yards.
Well, our player of the game from CB West is Dustin Picciotti, number 33. An incredible game from the junior fullback, the heir apparent to Dave Armstrong. He has really done an excellent job for CB West this year. He had 4 touchdowns last week. Didn't get many touchdowns tonight, only 1. But he played a heck of a game for CB West.
Oh, he came out and just completely almost dominated the line of scrimmage for CB West, bowling over all the North Penn players.
Well, it was just a great game. You couldn't ask for a better game. You heard it from Coach Pettine. A very emotional game. It's against his father. That was downplayed, and rightfully so. The focus of this game is on the players. We might see this matchup again, District 1 Championship Final. Well, that will wrap up our coverage here from Crawford Stadium. Thanks to our Director of North Penn Television Sports, Bob Gilmer. Camera crew, guys, great job tonight in the elements. It was a veritable monsoon out there, and we appreciate all your hard work. For Chadd Powell, I'm Kyle Berger. We'll see you next time on North Penn Television. So long, everybody.